hit the button. Now I gotta go check the live stream and hit the unmute button and then get the reverb going.
All right.
All right, we're live. I can hear myself and then get the reverb going. And we're on a delay, so let's see how far I can talk until it starts getting weird. But I need to make it hear myself. Continuous stream of myself going. And now I'm running a delay, so let's see how far I can talk. No, I can't do it. It's getting weird. But I need to make it hear myself.
Okay. All right, here we go.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Dream.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop up your head.
And welcome to the American Reed Factory podcast. Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
And we're all here again. All here again for another exciting podcast. Great show.
Don't be presumptuous.
Well,
don't get too worked up. I don't want you.
There's a fine balance between arrogance and optimism. I mean, we all really know how this is going to go down, but we're going to pretend to be happy with the results.
Better than average.
Yes. Welcome to the barely above average podcast.
We consistently meet and slightly exceed your expectations.
We only had a decade to perfect our craft. Here we are.
Still perfecting.
Still chipping away at it, one tiny hammer strike at a time. But anyway, here we are. Wow, so 4th of July is in full swing here again.
Yeah, we still have fireworks going on outside here. So
yeah, this is the last day they're legal.
I didn't follow up. I saw a Reddit post. I was like, that's a good question, where it was like, people who set off fireworks before and after the 4th of July, what is your reasoning?
It just any time during the year. What is it?
Oh.
Yeah, we pretty much got fireworks year round here.
Yeah, it's got
I mean, if you just really listen for it, you'll hear it.
Well, is that?
Either that or it's just lots of shootings outside.
Well, there is the parking lot in the abandoned factory across from the trailer park on Kirkwood Boulevard that has like 8 semi-trailers full of fireworks still today. So, I mean, this is the last day we can legally set them off and see what happens without getting reported and fined, but I don't know if that's factoring in anybody setting shit off tonight.
Well, if somebody was accurate enough and hit one of those trailers, you could have a really big firework.
Did you see that video? I guess it was in San Diego. Like, there was a computer glitch and it just set all the fireworks off at once.
Oh yeah, it was like it looked like the sun. Like
yeah.
Everything going off at once. Yeah, I saw that. That's amazing. Because at first I watched it because it was just a video. I was like, are they doing that on purpose? What the hell kind of... but then it's like, oh wait, no, this wasn't supposed to happen.
This fireworks show is sponsored by premature ejaculation.
I like those ones they set off in China, where it's like the thing's as big as I don't know, it's huge. It's like as big as a beach ball.
Yeah.
It puts it up in the air and it's got like it does 4 different things from within itself. It's like there's one, then there's a bigger one, then there's a bigger one. And it's like massive. You know, I don't know what. I forget what they said those would cost here, but it'd be thousands of dollars per shot. But yeah, the Chinese really, they have something with fireworks. So they make some amazing stuff.
I mean, they invented it. So.
Well, there was on video where it was just like a regular, like, it went up and like separated 4 or 5 times, and then it did like a secondary 4 or 5, but then there must have been like a million little tiny ones because it just like lit up the whole section of sky in like a brilliant like cascade or whatever on the 3rd one. So it was like, oh, that's really fucking awesome. I wish that would be more prevalent. I'm sure it's really expensive.
Yeah,
one firework.
That's mostly in China that they do those, in Japan. Here we have lots of good fireworks here. most of the ones, like the ones that go off in Washington, are they're all from Italy.
Huh.
And I think there's like, everything like that you do in America, you got to realize we have something called tort laws. So if anything goes wrong, it's like you could be on the hook for millions of dollars. I think that's kind of the restraining cap. Because there's some people, it's like, can we set off miniature nuclear bombs in the atmosphere? It's like, yeah. There's people here that would probably want to do that.
Also, yeah, explosives here are fairly well. I have nothing to compare it to. They seem to be regulated here fairly well.
I don't think any crimes have ever been committed in America with what you call high explosives, like military grade explosives. There's been people that have done shit with dynamite. I think some people did things with an artillery thing once, but yeah, you don't hear, for all the shit that we have going on here, you never hear about like somebody got hold of 10 pounds of plastic explosives and took it out on their ex-wife or robbed the bank, or at least you don't hear about it. Doesn't mean it's not going on.
No, just that book or whatever. Guy ended up with 1,000 pounds of dynamite. But
yeah, but that's dynamite.
Yeah, that's dynamite. Yeah, but yeah, not military grade explosives. And then Timothy McVeigh had fertilizer and chemicals.
What was that called? Soil bomb or something? That had a weird, whatever that.
But that's fairly regulated now. But also, I'm not a farmer, so I don't know. God damn it! I can't do my farm because a guy blew up a goddamn government building.
Well, when I heard about that, I remember, I forget, I was like 20 years old. And when I first saw the news reports, and remember that was kind of like the internet was around, but I didn't have it, and people weren't looking on their phones for it, certainly back then. If on the news, they said it's like, oh, somebody, this is like this is a terrorist act committed by, terrorists funded by a foreign power. This was a huge bomb, blew the face off a building, and then like a couple days later, it's like, oh no, they used diesel fuel and fertilizer and compressed it and lit a fuse. Like, oh, okay. But initially, yeah, from seeing it, it's like, oh, somebody set off a bunch of powerful explosives, like plastic explosives or something like that, but no.
Or there's the weird one that happened like a week ago, the shooter in Dallas.
Did you hear about that one?
Yeah, because he didn't. He seems to be a very weird, dorky guy, and attempted to like shoot up a government building, and then like didn't hit anything, and then just got shot in the head.
Oh, so he didn't kill anyone? He just
no
building, and the police just blasted him.
And there's like photos of him where he has like a ski mask on, and he just looks like a total dork. But it's like he's carrying an AR-15, but like the strap's just like hanging off, and he's got like a magazine in one hand. Like apparently he was in the army, but I got kicked out. So,
okay.
And then
the thing that kicked him out, it sounds like he wasn't going down a good road.
Well, apparently it didn't teach him anything either.
No.
And then I heard a terrible meme about. Well, I guess he died, so nobody got hurt, so it doesn't matter. But like I said, I would say like it said the Dallas shooter was like anti-vaxxer kids. He missed all his shots and then died immediately.
Yeah, I love the internet. I don't even know how. I don't even think that way. I'm glad there's people out there that do. Never put that one together myself. Yeah, I remember hearing. Now that you mentioned, I do remember, because whenever you say there was a shooter somewhere, I'm always thinking, well, how many people did he kill? With this guy, this was the most optimistic kind of shooter. It's like the one that doesn't kill anyone, just scares people and then gets shot in the head.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of there's like videos of there's like plenty of videos and because like a reporter like took a photo of him, and it's like a clear photo of him where he's like fumbling around. And there's a video where like somebody was like up in a building and you can see him like running across the parking lot.
Yeah, it's not a good plan. What people are trying to do anymore. Thank God he didn't kill anyone. So it's been a weird week for. Speaking of news and terroristic acts and weird things, it's like 2 California earthquakes back to back. four times more powerful than the first. And then depending on who you listen to, it's like there's bigger ones coming, or there's only a 4% chance of any more after this. I don't know who to believe.
Is it The Rock saying there's going to be more?
No, I think, well, maybe it could be. I don't know. It's one's the USGS is said we're pretty optimistic there's not going to be big ones, but they said that after the first one too. Okay. But then all the apocalyptic people will come out of the woodworks. This is the sign we've been waiting for.
Bill Hicks is right. Welcome, Arizona Bay.
Trump 2020.
This is the greatest earthquake this nation's ever seen.
This earthquake's almost as big as my asshole.
Yeah.
Obama didn't handle earthquakes like I handled this earthquake.
With negligence and diligence.
With negligence and self-promotion.
I threw a parade for it.
I'm going to make my bad job the best job I've ever seen. It's going to be huge.
I'm going to hand out water in a line. That'll really help. The aid California has gotten has been huge.
Finally, God will know what the word mockery means.
I'd love it if he'd say shit like that. Okay, at least I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, instead of his quip about like how fucking revolutionary soldiers took airports this week.
Oh.
Because there's a bunch of cool shit on fucking Reddit with like a Revolutionary War oil painting with like a Boeing 747 flying in the background. And
Yes.
Or like an F-14 pilot, but like he is with George Washington's face.
I like the one I put on Facebook or somewhere. It was like a letter from a Revolutionary War soldier. My dear Betsy, we laid siege to the Newark International Airport today. We lost a lot of men and baggage claim. And I hope that if we redouble our efforts, we'll be able to push the British out of the Newark International Airport and be able to resume service to the rest of the country. You know, but it was written in the style of, you know how people.
yeah.
It was very formal back then.
No, because they had a guy dressed up like George Washington by a prop airplane, and he was like, "Dear Martha," is like about to board the airplane to go across the Delaware River. I hope this propeller doesn't give me cancer. Shit like that, because of Trump's thing about wind turbines giving people cancer.
Oh yeah.
So combined a twofer between the fucking Revolutionary War airplane shit and propane or like propeller cancer. So it's like okay. So yeah, it's been.
Did you guys watch the debates? Because I didn't. But
Yes.
okay, do you know who Marianne Williamson is?
The author, the lady who writes the self-help books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who she is. She's a AIDS advocate or something.
But I don't know if you. But there was a quiz going around. I've heard it on like 4 different podcasts, so might as well just continue it on here. The quiz is: did Mariana Williamson say this, or was it in Metal Gear Solid?
Okay. It'd actually be tough considering we spoke once.
So I guess we'll just read the answer, then whoever yells first. So sir, I have a feeling you know what you're doing. I'm going to harness love for political purpose. I'll meet you on that field, and sir, love will win. Metal Gear Solid or Marianne Williamson?
Metal Gear Solid.
Wrong. That was Marianne Williamson.
Oh, it was? Okay, that's weird. That's why this is tough.
Do you think love can bloom even on a battlefield?
Metal Gear Solid.
That is correct. America is a country of liberty, a meeting of immigrants. Instead of simply assimilating, its citizens live alongside others. Their roots are varied, diverse. America's never been made up of just one people.
The girl, the woman.
Marianne Williamson? Nope, that was Metal Gear Solid. My first call is to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who said that her goal is to make New Zealand the place where it's the best place in the world for a child to grow up. And I would tell her girlfriend, You're so wrong, because the United States of America is going to be the best place in the world for a child to grow up.
Metal Gear Solid.
Wrong. That's Marianne Williamson.
Oh, I was hoping that was some weird storyline in Metal Gear Solid.
Only one thing matters: the purity of your mission.
Marianne Williams.
That is correct.
I had to just eventually switch gears.
The Patriots are trying to protect their power, their own entrance, by controlling the digital flow of information. I want my memory, my existence to remain. Unlike an intron of history, I'll be remembered as an exon. That will be my legacy, huh?
Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, that is Metal Gear Solid. Well, actually,
I was going to say Alex Jones, even though that was...
The universe is an infinite opportunity creation machine. The possibility of greater possibility is programmed into the nature of things.
Marianne Williams.
That is correct.
Okay.
Genes exist to pass down our hopes and dreams for the future through our children. Living is a link to the future. That's how all life works. Loving each other, teaching each other, that's how we can change the world.
Metal Gear Solid.
That is correct. That is Metal Gear Solid.
Jesus. Okay.
In school, I also learned that peace is an unnatural state for human society, and that war is a constant threat to our relationship with others. So to achieve peace, we have to create it ourselves. Crying about it won't bring it about or make it last. Each one must go out and seek it out.
Metal Gear Solid.
That is correct. Jobs building military equipment that's then sold for questionable purposes represent the same manufacturing talent that could go toward building high-speed rails instead of bombers, infrastructure projects instead of killing machines, and for sustaining instead of destroying Earth.
Marianne Williamson.
That is correct. Should I keep going, or is this...
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep rolling. I'm
Just-
curious now because I don't remember any of this.
Well, these aren't all quotes for a debate. Some of the shit comes from our Twitter.
Okay. I was gonna say, found on this shit.
That would be better, right? It's like, when did she say this insane shit in the debate?
Until we get to the one that says, this pumpkin bread recipe is awesome. Or something like that.
Just beneath the surface, this isn't politics. It's black magic. Entirely a psychic battle. Use your shield of virtue and your sword of truth.
Marianne Williamson.
That is correct.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like Metal Gear Solid.
Well, the psychic part would throw me off because there is literally a character named Psycho Mantis, and he has psychic abilities. But memes, the DNA of the soul. They shape our will. They are the culture. They are everything we pass on. Expose someone to anger long enough, they will learn to hate. They become a carrier. Envy, greed, despair. All memes, all passed along.
Metal Gear Solid.
Williamson.
Oh yeah. All right, well, cool. It is Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, okay.
I guess I thought that reference was recent enough to be in the last game, but I guess I didn't play all the way.
Actually, this comes from Metal Gear Solid 2.
Fucking really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Because there's a whole thing. There's a whole like trifecta. It's like memes, genes, and scenes. Like that's something that Kojima set up,
Oh.
and like he did that in fucking 2002, or actually 2001. Today, let's honor the soldiers who died, so we might be free and atone in our hearts for those having died because of military misadventures.
Metal Gear Solid.
That is Marianne Williamson.
Okay.
But in the end, a cardboard box is only made of paper. Handle it with care, or it won't be much use to you. Don't think of it as just another box. Treat it with love. Don't be rough, okay?
Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, that is
that
Metal
what-
Gear Solid.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
There's a lot of moving boxes around in Metal Gear Solid.
We've done it before. Deep inside, hidden in our central DNA, we have the potential to rise up, and as we have risen up past times. This play isn't over. It's just the beginning of the third act.
Marianne Williams.
That is correct.
Am I saying her name right?
Williamson.
Williamson. Marianne Williamson. Okay.
Hey, at least you got her name. Tried it. The first thing I said, the girl or woman, whatever her name was. Like,
That one chick.
It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. ID tag soldiers carry ID tagged weapons, use ID tag gear, nanomachines inside their bodies enhance the regulate their abilities, genetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control.
Dick Cheney.
Correct. No. Metal Gear Solid.
That is Metal Gear Solid.
I was gonna say that has to be. How that's not the reality yet.
That's great when he's like, that has to be Metal Gear Solid, and it's fucking Marion.
Whoever picked up on that is brilliant. It's dense. I mean, I knew as soon as you said, well, this is a trivia, it's like, well, I can't, yeah, this is going to be hard.
You are at the right place, and this is the right time. Every aspect of your reality provides the opportunity to make your next best move.
Marianne Williamson.
That is correct. What's it going to be? Loyalty to your country or loyalty to me? Your country or your old mentor? The mission or your beliefs? Your duty to your unit or your personal feelings? You don't know the truth yet, but sooner or later you have to choose.
Got to be Metal Gear Solid.
That is correct.
I was gonna say that's Marianne Williams.
That is the boss saying that.
What's going on here?
War has changed. Our time has ended. Our war is over, but there's one more thing I must do. One last punishment I must endure. Erase my genes. Wipe this meme from the face of the earth. This is my final mission.
There goes Solid.
Noam Chomsky.
It is Metal Gear Solid. That'd be great if that was Marianne Williams.
Yeah, that would be like, yes. Let's vote her in so she can finish that mission. Watch.
Every thought we think is like a missile delivering either harmony or chaos, and it lands on us.
Got to be Metal Gear Solid.
That is Marianne Williams.
Okay. Wow, that's weird. Thought missiles.
Khloe Kardashian.
That's the quiz. Oh shit! I didn't even look at our score. Oh well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think
I think we got about. I think we got like 50% right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's esoteric quiz.
I mean, Nathan, I think you were like 5 and 3, and I was 7 and 2, so we only got like 5 or 6 wrong.
Yeah. And then my ridiculous answers.
Well, I mean, like the New Zealand one, I wanted to say was real because, like, well, the New Zealand Prime Minister is a woman, but I guess they could be anything in a video game too. So fuck.
Well, the one with the box is like, yeah, of course it's Metal Gear Solid. But I guess we don't know. There's a box is a prominent feature in Metal Gear Solid. And some of those are like the most famous parts, like that one where he's talking about like ID tagged soldiers and stuff. That's like in the trailer for Metal Gear Solid 4. But I know the Metal Gear Solid pretty well, so I think there's one that like there was a psychic one that threw me off, and there's the one like where she says something about like her sword of virtue or something like that. It's like, I don't know. That sounds like a mission tag in Metal Gear Solid.
This one's a hat toss. The thought missiles actually threw me because I was going too deep. I was like, thought missile.
But speaking of thought missiles and going too deep, so you have completed watching Evangelion or Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yes, I have. I finished the first season, or the only season.
The only season.
And then I watched the end of Evangelion, which was the more coherent.
Because I was pretty vague about it, but now we can get into specifics unless you're like really in. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because now we get to go into Wikipedia articles, and because I was pretty vague about everything. But you seem. I tried to build it up for you. I said, like, there's going to be a part where they're going to show you something. You're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? And that's when they're like, fucking have a monster crucified on a cross and stab it with a giant spear.
Yep.
It's like.
Spear of Longinus.
Yeah, Spear of Longinus or whatever.
Like, yeah, let's be subtle, guys. It's got a guy nailed to a cross. Well, I mean, my experience with this was I watched a real chopped up version of this on Adult Swim, but I didn't see it all in order. I was like, oh, this is just kooky and weird. So I had seen the TV series.
Okay.
But I'd never been able just to watch it in series like I did here. And And like I said, I started off working on models, and it's like, okay, this will be, I'll backscatter, I'll pay attention to what I'm doing. And I just stopped working on models because this just there was parts of it that were really good, and then parts of it that are really strange. And yeah, so my whole takeaway on Evangelion is like, this is cool but weird. Weird in a very Japanese way. This is like, all the problems I have with Japanese storytelling are present and accounted for.
Well, yeah, it's I don't know. This might be something that's prevalent in Japanese storytelling, but like as you get towards the conclusion, things become very ambivalent and weird and scattershot.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, oh, they're painting themselves into a corner. Yeah, they painted themselves into a corner. But how it was visualized and the concepts in it were really cool. I was like, the whole thing with like the second impact and all that. It's like, oh, that really drew me in. Like the origin stories of like who his dad was and who the girl was, the commander or major, and what their backstories were and what motivated them. It's like, oh, that's fairly compelling. And just the weirdness of the angels and all that is like, oh, this is. But then they started giving them like the angel names, like the biblical names.
Oh yeah, they all have names, but they're not always. They aren't always said.
Yes, yeah, it wasn't present until like episode 10. I started picking up on it, maybe.
Because there's like that diamond one. I think it's called Raziel or something like that.
Yeah,
that's probably my favorite Ava fight. Is that diamond one? Because it just hovers around and goes oh, oh, and then it just fires a giant cannon and blows shit up, mountains and shit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what my favorite angel. There were some weird ones, like the pyramid with eyes that walked around on spider legs and dropped acid.
Yeah, cried acid.
Yeah, cried acid out of his eyes. Like, oh, this is like multi-dimensional weird.
There's that weird space one that just like looks like just a bunch of eyes on a wing jelly thing that looks like it came out of like Star Trek the motion picture, like it was a part of V'ger or something.
Yeah, just a bunch of like Egyptian eyes floating in a circle.
And they just run and catch it.
Nope.
I was listening to one podcast and they said like the guy was like making a joke about like the tactical mistake of that angel is like just stay in space and keep bombarding it. Why'd you swing down?
Yeah.
But actually, that makes because like all the angels are trying to do is so they have like this monster in a basement of this area that's crucified to a cross and stabbed with a spear, and it's called Lilith.
Yeah.
Now, have you gotten to the Wikipedia about like what Lilith is and all that stuff?
No, I didn't do any research because I know you wanted to talk about it.
Because it's like it's never explained. Like I said before, like a lot of this stuff was like came out of like an interview that people who were making video games for this got out of the main guy. I think is Anno is his name. That's his last name. And it was essentially there's like a precursor race that they were all gonna die, and so they created these things to be sent out into the universe, which is basically seeds to go spread versions of themselves across the universe because their whole solar system was gonna die, and so that was what they sent out. And so the thing that happens on Earth is that 2 of these seeds end up on Earth, and so that's what the first impact is like. One seed already got there, and that's Adam. That's the first seed that gets on Earth, and then Lilith comes in, crashes, and that's actually what the first impact, which is something they never mentioned. Like I always assume when they say first impact, I just thought it meant like that's the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs or some shit.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But it was actually it's Lilith crashes into Earth, and the geofront, that dome that's underground. So that's actually like her spaceship or its spaceship.
Yeah, that wasn't something people built. That was
that was already there.
Yeah, I did pick up on that.
And so like when the second impact happens, what happens is because all of humanity, because like these ships, they have like the primordial ooze or whatever, Right? It's called LCL or whatever. It's actually what they fill the cabin of the Avas with.
Right.
That's what they fill it with, which is the blood of Lilith, and that's why like they stabbed a spear into it because they're trying to collect as much blood from Lilith because they already have like something in its back that just constantly drained of blood to use to make the Evangelions and to do all this shit with it. So that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
So these things aren't meant to have. They aren't meant to exist in the same planet, and then so every like creature or seed comes with the sphere, the creature, the primordial ooze, and then a spear of Longinus. But like when Lilith crashes on Earth, like her spear or whatever its spear disappears, and so the one that remains is Adam's spear, which they found it in Antarctica because Adam was in Antarctica.
Okay.
And so because all of humanity are children of Lilith, when they opened up Adam's sphere thing and went in, that's when the second impact happened because they aren't supposed to touch, and that's when everything blew up.
Okay. Yeah, I did do something.
So that's what the angels are trying to do. They're just trying to dig their way down, basically touch Lilith and create a third impact. And because like when they do that, it's supposed because you talk about the human the Human Instrumentality Project.
Yeah.
Which is this weird group called Sele, and they're trying to force the next evolution of humanity.
Yeah. So all humans have the same soul or something.
Yeah. So I hope that clears things up.
Yeah. That makes it.
And I've been watching the Rebuild series, which is a theatrical remake of the first and only season.
Okay.
So like the first movie, it's just called Evangelion 1.11 or 1.1.1, and it's just the first 6 episodes, essentially reimagined and redone.
Oh, okay.
So it looks really great.
More or less coherent.
Well, I'd say the first 6 episodes of the series, like I said, it starts out you can kind of understand things, like you're waiting for more information to come, and well, it's not. But
the information does come, however.
And then it doesn't. But then there's something that, but then you'll pick up on like there is something really different about the world. So. You know, an end of Evangelion when, like, at the end when he's like choking Asuka for no reason.
Yeah.
The sea is red.
Mm-hmm.
So in this series, when it starts out, the sea is already red.
Oh, okay.
And then that's a little clue that this is like some sort of like sub-alternate universe of what happened from the original series. And also, like in the end of Evangelion, there's like a line of blood that gets like just like draped across the moon.
Yeah.
So that's also there. So essentially, like all the events from the show like have occurred, and this is kind of like a retelling, alternate history or whatever of this. And then when you get into the second movie, that's when things start to depart more, but it's still relatively like uses a lot of the same angels from the original series. It makes a couple new ones. Like instead of that spider one, there's like this weird clock monster. Like it's got like the weird long spindly legs, but it's like made out to be like it's like a face of a clock, and it's really fucking weird.
Huh.
And then when you get to the end of that, it's like way different. And then the third movie is completely different. Everything in that movie has nothing to do with the original series whatsoever.
Okay.
Which is why it's divisive.
Well, it makes sense.
And then you got the fourth movie coming out next year.
So it's not going to do for everyone.
Oh, but that's supposed to end it again. So another end of Evangelion.
Yeah. Never-ending cycle of life and death. An alternate universe.
But the animation's really well done. It's a weird. Well, I guess it's not weird. They do this a lot now, but it's a combination of CGI and hand drawn.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times it like, oh, this is really well done, and then like you go and like you see they show like how all the different elements are combined,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh, this isn't all hand animated, but like it looks like it, and then like there's only times where it's like a bit too fluid. It's like, oh, nobody animated that.
Yeah, it's the uncanny valley for CG animation.
And then so I went out and watched this guy. So in between, so why it's been because he started making these movies in 2007.
Yeah.
And so there's been a delay for this last movie, and it's because he directed a Godzilla movie in 2016 called Shin Godzilla. Guess what? It's a really good Godzilla movie, and it's probably more in line with how a Godzilla should be. I don't have enough Godzilla movies under my belt to really like compare it, but it's really well done. Because like I told you, like the interesting thing about it is that there's no central character.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of different viewpoints of people reacting to this giant monster.
Well, there's like characters you recognize, there's repeatable characters, but it's more about like you jump from one committee to another committee as everyone's trying to figure out like the political ramifications, the scientific ramifications.
Sounds like they played it straight. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is how the Japanese government would react to this.
Yeah.
It'd be one like hero character running around telling everyone what to do. It would take hundreds of people.
The special effects are passable to not good.
Yeah, but they don't make really big budget
No.
movies in Japan, so
It's like some parts like okay, like it works well enough. And it's kind of an homage to older Godzilla movies, so maybe there's some reason to like why it looks shitty is like that's intentional.
yeah.
You could make that argument. I don't know.
This is a $140 million King of Monsters.
No.
Godzilla. This is Japanese Godzilla.
But there's like sometimes where like almost looks worse than like an Asylum movie, like Atlantic Rim. Like it's that wouldn't look better, but there's time.
Well, they only spent $12 million on it.
There's like I don't know. There's a weird thing with live action Japanese adaptations of anime. It's like, why do you do it? It always looks worse, and you never add anything to it.
Yeah.
But there's like a real like people just want that for some reason.
Now, Star Blazer is pretty cool. I finally watched the live action.
Yeah.
Star Blazer. They spent a lot of money for a movie with a Japanese cast. It's done in Japanese. It's like, oh, this looks like a kind of a mid-grade Hollywood sci-fi film.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff was really amazing, like when they fired the motion cannon, like because they showed like all the mechanical things that have to happen to fire the ship's the Yamato's main energy weapon. It's like, oh, there's almost like the shots of the Titanic from the Titanic movie, where they showed the guys running next to the engine and the giant pistol. Okay, there was a lot of that. It's like, oh yeah, this is a very mechanical, involved process to fire the made-up space gun from the refurbished World War II battleship, which is a cool, weird idea.
And then there's a really funny moment in Shin Godzilla, or maybe it's if you watch Evangelion. I can't remember what it's called, but that one music when they're like preparing for battle, and it's like dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they use that music in Godzilla when they're like trying to figure out like how, how Godzilla is evolving and shit like that, and like what can we do to stop him, and like the military response and all this stuff. It starts playing that music, and I just started laughing.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about Evangelion is they played a lot of Beethoven and Bach. Like they played Ode to Joy when like really horrible shit was happening. Because I think that was like their religious hook. Yeah.
Well, and that one drum refrain, that dun 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 frame, that's actually from a James Bond movie.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's from like Russia of Love or something.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that. So yeah, now I've officially seen Neon Genesis Evangelion in its entirety from the original series, and I have to see the other ones later. I think they're all on Netflix.
Are they? Okay, because I just bought them all on DVD, so apparently they put them up there now. So.
Yeah, because that's why I thought you were asking us to watch it, because it was on Netflix.
Well, yeah, no, they put the regular series on, and they had there's a movie called End of Evangelion, which you really need because when you get to the end of the when you get to the end of the original season, it's like, what the fuck is that?
It turns into a Fellini film. The last 2 episodes for just, I mean, there was always weird shit going on there and some incoherency in the storytelling. But yeah, those last 2 episodes, it's like, oh, this is like a Fellini film or an ode to David Lynch or something. And there was a point to it because I watched them closely because I've been preloaded about this. I didn't go into this blind, and I was like, oh, okay, I get what he was trying to do, but that's really not a good way to end this. Maybe it would have been a good, like, weird standalone episode towards the end, but not this, like, oh, it's you've accepted your emotions. Welcome. What? The fuck does that? Shoot something. So yeah.
I've heard things like there was budget cuts towards the end there. There's that one really violent episode where I guess someone. Is that one where there's the Rogue Ava pilot or the Rogue the Rogue Ava, and like you can see it like punch its face and its face explodes. You see a giant eyeball flow, and then it bites into the pilot pod. But apparently the kid's okay, and but yeah, I never really believed that. It's like, is this a re-edit or is that how it's supposed to be? And then after that, it's more about the characters and less about like the whole Ava stuff.
Yeah.
But so some people cited budgetary constraints or that the director was it's kind of stalling for inspiration, and then he just put that up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we got a week to make an episode. Like, all right, let's just do this shit.
I mean, that's in modern parlance, that's known as the Lost effect, where it's like great build, great build, great build. How do we end it? Afterlife, heaven. It's like, and then everyone gets mad when you do that now. So, yeah. But I've watched it, and I'd seen it before, but not in order. So
yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh, this is weird. It's a new one would come on once a week, and it's like, okay, let's watch this. What does this have to do with the last? Okay, but now I've seen it all, and it makes more sense. But I've always seen like stuff like this as kind of an interesting side note to like, oh, this is cool. This is a part of science fiction that is.
Well, it's like this challenging interpretation, like what's your interpretation?
Yeah.
And like I compared it to David Lynch films, where it's like you can get nothing out of this, or you can get everything out of this, and I went in too deep.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's like I said,
I think all of, like the religious and imagery that they use in this is completely surface. I don't really think it has any deep meaning.
No, it's just cool. It's just they're like. It's cool because they've taken something that's obviously from Western culture, and it's like that's sort of like a weird decoration to hang on stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, it's still very much its own thing.
There's a computer, which I guess like all the 3 different minds of the computer, or the Magi, and then like it's like one's Casper, and I can't remember the other ones, but that's the 3 wise men and stuff.
Yeah, everything is taken from. Like Sunday school, but except the angel names, you got to go deep to find those. Those are all Hebrew names, and they're really weird.
There's stuff from Kabbalah, stuff like that too.
Yeah,
and Jewish mysticism.
Some of that stuff I haven't. I know there are names for a bunch of angels, and they're all really weird. And I don't, but that's not really a part.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of descriptions of angels, rather than the depictions that we like to put out with like fluffy wings. There's like very grotesque. Weird looking angels, and like this is more in line with what that stuff is.
Yeah. Yeah, really like what's the book the lady wrote in the 60s? It was really cool. Oh, Wrinkle in Time. There's angels in that, and they're just like eyes and like feathers and stuff. Yeah, like that's actually comes from descriptions of angels and from different religious texts. Because the Quran has a whole addenda to that, like of new stuff that's even scarier than the Christian or the Jewish stuff. It's like, oh wow, these things are truly frightening. But it's all the same stuff. It's just weird.
Now Bayonetta makes more sense.
Yes. No, this was cool. I'm glad I watched it. I don't regret watching it. The hours I put into it was like, oh, I mean, I guess I could say it's like, oh, I see why people like this. I finally get this now.
Yeah, well, I was quick to rush through it because they're only half-hour episodes, and so I was like, it's still 26 episodes or 24, but it's like,
yeah, it's like 10 hours.
You can get through it.
And it's watchable too. No matter how weird it gets, it's still really watchable. It's like, what's gonna happen now? And it's like, I like at first it's like, oh, these are machines fighting evil alien angels. That's what you think, and then you find out, oh no,
they're giant humans.
Giant tortured humans that are governed by. Like the armor is not just there to protect them; it's to stop them from growing and features. And they have a soul, but they need a pilot.
Yeah.
And then they had the mass-produced Avas, and those were weird with like the shark heads.
Yeah.
And I like how other countries exist in this, but they don't play a central part.
No.
Kind of there, because the one girl's supposedly German.
I was listening to a podcast and it said she's like German and Japanese heritage. Like I think her mom's Japanese, and she has a really fucked up relationship with her mom.
Yeah,
where her mom goes to kill herself, and you want to die with mommy? It's like, that's fucked up.
That sounds something the Japanese would do. Yeah, if you're German and Japanese together, that's a stable psychology there. You're going to achieve a lot and be very miserable.
So I forget, like, her name's Asuka, which is a Japanese name, I believe. I don't think that's Germanic.
It's Asuka Langley something. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm just confusing that because there's a wrestler named Asuka and she's awesome and they don't use her, so.
No. It could be. And then I got the major, the lady he lives with, was the pet penguin.
Yeah. Pen, the penguin.
Which I didn't understand until like, oh wait, yeah, she was in Antarctica and her dad saved her.
Yeah.
That's why because the Japanese sometimes have cutesy animal mascots just randomly inserted in things. And I thought that's what this was. And it's like, oh no, there's a backstory. Not explained, but just kind of read into. Like, oh.
Yeah, there's like really like, because like almost every moment of the show is like, this is the end of the world. And we got to trust in a depressed, mentally unstable 14-year-old to save the world. And then we like cut to, like, it's a home light. Da, 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 here's a penguin and she's chugging beer. It's like, this is completely out of place.
And she's always staring at him, and when she stares at him, he looks down her dress at her boobs all the time. Yeah. And her friends are... oh, yeah, and I like how the one boy was picked to be the pilot of the Evangelion that got possessed.
Yeah.
His friend, and he never said anything about it, and then, they end up overriding him and killing him, and it's like, oh, okay.
Well, they say he's still alive, but
yeah, you never see him again. So,
well, no, you do see him. Like they're taking him to the hospital, but
yeah,
but then you never see him again after that. So I just assumed he's dead.
Yeah, I just wrote him off as dead because he's not playing a part in the story.
So yeah, what's interesting in the movies, they switched that part to Asuka.
Oh, okay.
So she ends up in that spot and getting injured and all that. So that makes it more interesting. So.
Yeah, she's a bigger character. So.
Yeah, they kind of cut down a lot of the characters for the movies, which makes sense. There's like that one dorky kid who's like all into military stuff, and like you think like he might be used for something, but no, not really. No. He's there. He's kind of there for framing, but he's not really useful. But then at some point they mentioned that it isn't a mistake that all these kids are here at this class. Like, all these kids are potential pilots or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of figured from the beginning that they weren't randomly in some public school. Do they ever say what the population of the planet is, what's left?
Half the population is killed.
Okay, so it's about half.
Yeah.
'Cause I know they say it's been like summer for 8 years, and there's all kinds of weather's all fucked up. And
well, that's the cool episode. The episode where you first meet Asuka, it's pretty cool because not only do you get like this weird fight where a giant robot's jumping from ship to ship, and then for some reason they sink 2 battleships to shove it in a monster's mouth so it can fire at it. But there's that part where like it goes underwater and you see the city and you're like, oh fuck, because that's really the first time you see kind of like the destruction of what happened to the Earth. Because you don't, they could just kind of mention it and you just take it at hand.
Yeah.
But because Tokyo 3 is so like technologically advanced, you assume like, well, everything's okay. I mean, look at the technology they have. But like this is like Tokyo 3 isn't indicative of what's going on with the rest of the world.
Yeah. The only place ever mentioned in America is the Nevada test site that gets blown up.
Yeah.
Which is, there's all those illusions in this too, because the Nevada test site is where the Trinity experiments were carried out, and they always come back to that. And I think the Navy and was that the U.S. implied to be the U.S. Navy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least the UN Navy.
Well, they call it the UN Navy, but the character seemed like
like the admiral or whatever was American.
Yeah. So, and then Germany exists. And China. That's where all the mass-produced Evangelions come from, is China and Germany.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister of Japan is like, well, they're going to screw us on that. We've put all this money into developing these handmade Evangelions, and they're just going to mass produce us, and we're going to lose our profit margin. There's all kinds of talk about like unemployment.
We're going to lose our immortality.
Yeah. There was like this little sidebars, real quick snippets of conversations. Like, yeah. Remember something that was done in the mid 90s. It was like, oh, it's still pretty relevant today.
I picked up a new game.
Okay, what's it called?
Judgment.
Who makes this and what's it about?
Sega.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the Yakuza series?
Yeah. Is that where the guy infiltrates the mafia and it's like a first-person thing?
No.
Okay.
What are you thinking of?
I don't know. I thought there was a game where
there's
infiltrated the Yakuza and it was a first-person type game. Or not really like a first-person shooter, but like an adventure type game. Like a detective.
But I don't think you ever infiltrate the Yakuza in the Yakuza games. You're like, you play different characters, but usually in the Yakuza games you play this guy who was like ousted from the Yakuza, but then he's always kind of like brought into situations where that involves the Yakuza. He runs an orphanage and shit, and then like has to deal with the Yakuza to get these kids a home or some shit. Have you ever heard of the Shenmue series?
No.
Okay.
I have.
Have you ever played Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, I have.
So it's like it's almost like Japan's Grand Theft Auto, where it's like very. So like in this game, you play a lawyer who is representing somebody who is being charged with murder, and you end up getting them off. And in Japan, 99% of cases are declared guilty.
Okay.
Like that's true.
Yeah. Really fucking weirdly.
And so like yeah, it's like 1 in a million. Like you got this guy off, and then like so you get the guy's declared not guilty, and then soon after he kills his girlfriend and then sets his house on fire. And then so this lawyer kind of like feels disgraced and like doesn't want to be a lawyer anymore, and then decides he's going to open up a private eye detective agency.
Okay.
And then in the midst of just kind of doing like jobs for lawyers and stuff like that, and whatever else private eyes do, he happens upon a serial killer who's killing certain gang members and ripping their eyes out.
Okay, that's hard.
So, and then so now he's on. That's usually these games are pretty long, but they're very narrative heavy. So it's a lot of like I gotta sit here and like read a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also it's also a slice of life kind of thing. So like, it's in a fictional It's in a fictional town called Kamurocho, but it really is indicative of like how Japan is. It's kind of just a smorgasbord of Japan in a small way. of a city. Like that, there's like they have 7-Elevens in Japan, but there's also a store that's kind of like 7-Eleven there called oh shit. Who's the guy? The guy tilts at windmills.
Oh, Don Quixote.
Yeah, it's a store called Don Quixote. It's like a corner store, and they have them all over Japan.
Okay.
And so you go to Don Quixote and you buy energy drinks or whatever, and they're like real life energy drinks. Like this is shit you get in Japan. They're Sega arcades, and you go in there and you actually play Sega arcade games. Like you can play Virtua Fighter inside this game. You can play Space Harrier and Puyo Puyo Tetris and all this other shit. There's like actual games you can play inside the game. You can go batting practice. You can go golfing. You can do all this slice of life shit like while you're investigating a murder mystery. So it has
unwind a little bit.
Yeah, it does. So it has like this, it could be like this kind of a goofy, weird thing, and then it can get very serious. So it's been pretty interesting. So
I just do it as a real private eye to drive up the billable hours. It's like I went to batting practice, but I was following a lead. Just,
whatever happened to that guy stabbed the guy's eye? It's like, I don't know. I had to hit this curveball, man.
I had to go play arcade games at a gas station, then buy an energy drink and go to batting cage practice in 5 hours that day to figure it out.
But the majority of the game is just a beat 'em up. So you do a lot of like just punching and kicking, 3D brawler. And like 10 guys are after you, and you pick another guy up and windmill him into other guys and do a bunch of there's a bunch of like crazy finishing moves. You can shove a guy in like his head in a microwave and hit the start button and shit like that.
They have the awkward thing where you can go to the date bars or whatever
Yes.
and try to like pick up an escort or
Yep.
shit like that. Where
Yep, you can do that.
God, that was fucking awkward.
Yeah, there's one of them. There was like later on because there's one that's called Yakuza 0, and it takes place in the 80s, and it kind of is it was a prequel to all the other Yakuza games. And then last year they had like Yakuza 6, and there was like internet dating, and it gets all weird and stuff, and implied masturbation, and like you have like tissues as a you're constantly picking up tissues as like an inventory item. It's like, what's this for? I was like, you know what it's for. Yeah, there's just a lot of goofy shit in those games, but it's pretty good.
Huh.
But I'm not sure. I think it's only for Play. I'm not sure. It might be in other systems, but I think it's only for PlayStation. But they've been putting out those Yakuza games on PC because Sega's been pretty good at doing a lot of PC adaptations. So pretty much RTS games. They pretty much do all RTS games right now.
Huh.
Because like Warhammer RTS games, they do that. They do that stuff, and then what is it? The Total War series? That's them. That's what's saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the last Warhammer RTS actually killed that franchise because it was so bad. So
Cool. What franchise?
Warhammer RTS, the Dawn of War games, that's all done and dusted now. They're not doing anything.
Oh, the third one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have different ones now. There's what is it? Shit.
Well, they have a bunch of different like stuff made by different studios now.
Yeah, because like the weird thing, like Warhammer at some point just like let the floodgates open, and they let almost like any developer make a Warhammer game if they want to. Because I know there's another. It's called like Warhammer Invictus. It's like a real time strategy game where actually it's more like a SimCity building strategy game.
Yeah, I mean, there's Vermintide that's really popular right now. That's like
Yeah.
an Age of Sigmar type one where it's like first person, just like wave upon wave.
Yeah, it's kind of
shit.
like Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, kind of gimmick. There's one, it's like Mechanicus. It's like an over the top like Diablo style like third person shooter
Yeah.
/ like tactical game.
And there's that one was like with Battlefleet Gothic.
Yeah, that's really popular. It's kind of like Endless Space or like a space sim like battle game. I mean,
there's like literally hundreds of these fucking games.
they're hoping that actually, because there's a miniature game called Battlefleet Gothic that was really popular, but they discontinued it. And people wanted to come back because a lot of people still have the miniatures.
What's
They're
that
really
football one?
expensive. Blood Bowl.
Okay, yeah.
And that's come back, and that has new models like every other month or so. Like, there's a lot. I actually bought the second game on Xbox because it was like dirt cheap. It was like $5.
Yeah.
I played it.
So you know how like EA has a Star Wars license and they've made like 3 Star Wars games? So
Yeah.
Warhammer is like, hey, anybody make a game. So there's like thousands of them. of varying quality.
Well, now they got an animated show in the works finally. Because you remember that video we were talking about, with, like the fan made one that's really awesome. That the guy does like 3 or 4 minute videos at a time. And they're really good. It only takes like 6 months to get a different one, but it's still good. So they want to get a movie at some point, because this year they made $60 million in profits, which is the most they've ever made.
Huh.
But now they're publicly funded, or stock options.
Yeah.
So, but they did give their employees a £5 million bonus this year, or whatever. So, I mean, technically they paid out a decent amount, but like the 2 years in a row, they made the most money they've ever made.
Okay.
But now they just had another price increase this Thursday.
Oh.
So all their old kits they haven't done anything with for like 20 or 25 years are like, it's going to cost more now. And it's like, you haven't done anything with them. They've just been sitting there as the same old shit.
I just blame it on Trump.
Well, I know, but some people speculate that it's the tariffs and other people don't. Because I guess I didn't know that the Congress actually voted down the Chinese tariffs for board games and shit. Because, like, Amazon and a bunch of other manufacturers for toys and games and sellers, like...
Well, I know, like, Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony all wrote a letter and a thing saying, like, hey, don't do this. This is going to make, like...
gonna kill the Christmas season for 2000.
But it would increase the price of it by 25%.
Well, yeah, because all the board game shit between the UK and China, that's pretty much every fucking board game you can ever imagine being made, manufactured, and sent over here. And then, so yeah, anything related in that way would just be fucking go up in price. 25% I think was the tariff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's...
And then they said it would be even more expensive. Well, I don't know. That seems like it seems like a poor excuse, but I don't know. They said it would be more expensive if they brought all the manufacturing over here and manufactured it here.
Well, yeah, it would be, because, I mean, especially for how... Because if you... Like the old classic games like Risk, Diplomacy, Life, all that kind of shit. Like, if you buy a brand new copy of it and compare it to one from, like, the 70s and 80s, the 70s and 80s one was fucking made in the USA and it was solid. It still works. The fucking one they charge $25 for now, it looks like some blind kid in fucking China made in 5 seconds with a malformed fucking...
It was.
No, I know, but it's like they charge $25 for it. But if people really wanted it, they would pay $50 or $60 for it, and they would fucking be happy, and it would actually be made better. And it's... You pay for quality, obviously, but at the same time, it's like they don't treat many things worth of shit, because everything's like cardboard tokens and shit now, too. Which pisses me off, because that's why I don't get like a lot of the games and shit now, because it's like, hey, do you enjoy, pegging out like 3 sheets worth of cardboard tokens and keeping them somewhere so they won't, fucking disappear and fall on couches and shit? Because they do. And I can tell I'm boring, Nathan. But I don't fucking care. Like, no.
I'm listening.
No, I know.
Something I don't know anything about, so...
Well, because...
I think all this stuff was printed in China, I believe. The Expanse RPG.
Well, because I learned GW does all their terrain pieces in China now. That's why the plastic's different and harder, is because they don't have the same environmental standards and the same manufacturing capability. So they can just use a shittier plastic and crappier molds. So
I'd be willing to bet that book was printed in Canada.
This book?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. Because I thought, like, when we got, like, a Kickstarter update, it says, like, oh, it says printed in Canada. Okay.
There's big government subsidies for that. Most of the stuff you buy here is printed in Canada. There's a tree right there. They just chop them down. It's all a big works for it.
But yeah, we're gearing up for the Expanse RPG. And then we were going to do it tonight, but then I said no because I had too much pressure built on it.
Well, because you're the one that has to read the whole goddamn book. We only have to read like 11 chapters.
Well, actually, a lot of the book is a lot of explanation. Like, if you had never knew anything about the Expanse, it's all in here. There's a whole chapter about Earthers, Martians, Belters.
Well, I like how it has spoilers on the front of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, spoilers, if you read into this, you'll learn about what happens in the first or second book.
And, like, as I was getting into this, I got, like, I was overthinking everything. Because there's, like, shit where it's, like, so I thought, like, yeah, I'm going to send you guys into, like, because, like, for the first mission, there's a map. And it's like, all right, there's, like, some hooligans on the other side of this door. When you break in this door, there's going to be some guys you're going to have to fight. Like, that's what I was thinking of. And there's stuff where, like, there's 3 different time phases. So you have combat phase, where that's just like real time. It's like this is actually it's more expanded, where it's like you know roll for initiative and then you gotta pick what you're gonna do and all that shit. And then there's like narrative time. And that'd be like, you know, we're like, oh, we're on Tycho Station and we're like looking for a guy. You know, you do like a bunch of like what do we call it? Like when you're some sort of check because you're noticing details and shit. What do you call that?
Oh, like awareness?
Yeah, awareness check and stuff like that, and then like reveal things. And then there's shit like you know your character has like a certain amount of like items, and then like your character has a wealth associated to it, and you have to have like an item shop that people can buy things from. Like I'd probably never put that in the game. I'd probably just give you guys all the shit you need to accomplish the game.
Well, because I mean, looking at that, because I was wondering about, because usually when you start off like D&D campaigns and shit, like you start off in a town where you can buy shit, and they have like a list of stuff you can buy and what it costs. There's no like roll a check. It's just whatever you fucking start out with and what people will give you.
Well, that's because it's called the Age system, Adventure Game Engine. It's called 3d6, so you got 3 dice. That's all you need.
Well, one has to be a different color though.
And one's a different color, and that's the drama dice.
Okay.
And then so like you know, say you roll something and it's a success, because the drama dice only counts if it's a success. If it's a failure, then like basically nothing happens. But if you succeed, but the drama dice is a low number, like say it's a 1, so like you succeeded, but it's a 1, so now like, okay, you're picking this lock. You succeeded in picking the lock, but now you just like alerted somebody on the other side, and now there's like a guard that's on alert now.
Oh, okay.
But if you got like a 6, then like you definitely opened up the door and nobody knows what the fuck's happening, and now you know there's a guard over there, but he doesn't notice you, and like that's what happened if like a 6 would happen. So that one's kind of interesting because that's interpretive like on me. I could tell like, you know, I can do interesting things just purely on what the dice is.
I mean, most of the time the drama thing doesn't actually influence anything. It's just basically either saying you did it really well or you did it really shittily.
Yeah, or just averagely. Like, yeah.
I mean, it does add to the success roll of the dice too, depending on the action task, as well as any focus skill and any blah 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 blah. And yeah, I was kind of interested to see how more like the time thing worked, like the actual like, okay, you have 15 minutes, you know, or whatever to do this.
Yeah, that's
3 rolls, and let's see if you can work up to getting it done or not.
That one I had to read it like 4 different times, and then like I still like didn't necessarily get it. But yeah, there would be like there's like you would slice up. It's like, all right, this is gonna take 2 hours, and you're gonna slice up that 2 hours into like 6 turns.
Yeah.
And then like each time you roll, like that, you know, it basically like it'd be like there'd be separate gates.
Yeah.
That you have to, and like you could fail some of the gates, but eventually if you roll high enough, you succeed, but you failed at this, and that does.
Yeah, because you add up the drama dice, and that hits the gate or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Technically, you could fail the check, but as long as the drama dice is high enough to keep adding up to the gate, then.
So there's seeding, and then there's covering yourself in glory. Huh?
And then there's a third time, which is if you're going from planet to planet, it's kind of like downtime, and that's like, so it's like, all right, it's gonna take us like a week at a 1G burn to get to Mars, and so like during that week you can have it. So you're gonna accelerate the time, but you're gonna say like my character's doing this, and like your character can like level up in experience or gain some sort of focus while you're like traveling from one place to the other, or you can like as you're moving on, you can like, you know, heal yourself or repair a part of the ship, or like repair something on the ship, or add a gun to the ship or something like that, or increase the LiDAR range and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a whole section about the spaceship and like how spaceships work, and like Apoapis and Delta V's and Periapsis and Perihelion and all that shit. It's like, am I gonna use this? I don't know. We're gonna have to do an ability check for like whether we did the fucking orbital control right.
Yeah. Yeah, all those those really obscure space navigation, planetary mechanics navigation.
Well, yeah, because it has in here like how long it takes to get from one place to the other.
Yeah.
It's literally in there that's what your downtime's going to be, and it says like how long it takes for each type of burn. So there's like a 7G burn, a 1G burn, a 0.6G burn.
Yeah, 7G is when you start stroking out. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't maintain that, so it's more like a 1G.
And that's like and there's like different stuff here depending on what your character is and how people deal with gravity. So like depends if an Earther, Belter, or a Martian, like how it's going to affect that 7G burn's going to affect everyone differently.
Right.
So like during that 7G burn, like one of your characters might be taking health damage because they're a Belter or whatever. So yeah, this stuff's pretty interesting, but like as I kept reading into it, it's like, all right. And we probably won't take it that in depth. I'm not going to make you like, all right, you got to do this takeoff sequence right. But
Perihelion.
Yeah, but like as I was reading, I got too much in my head, and I was like, I don't think I can do this, so we'll do that at a later date. So.
All right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's pretty interesting. And this system, they've used it for a bunch of other different RPGs. They made what was it? Dragon Age, that BioWare RPG.
Yeah, they actually made that an RPG.
Yeah, they made a tabletop RPG.
Well, there's so many like fantasy era ones that I thought like this was more special because, I mean, there's Starfinder, there's Star Wars, 40K has a new RPG out and stuff like that, but there's not like a lot of stuff. There's a lot of shit for fantasy.
That's one of the reasons. Like if it's sci-fi, I'll take it. If it's fantasy, no, I don't care. And it's pretty much the exact same shit. You just make one science and the other one's not. But this one, like, there's a lot of attention to detail and towards reality or hard science fiction. So that's like really interesting. So like, yeah, you have that whole chapter on how fucking a spaceship works. It's like, okay, well, I guess
your parents were anti-vaxxers. You get into this room and you die because you weren't vaccinated.
Yeah, and I saw there's different ways you can. I mean, we can just fudge the numbers, but you like roll for dice to get different abilities. There's one you can make it completely random because like you said you're rolling it because you want to make your character an Earther.
Well, no, I didn't want it to be a Belter.
No belt. Okay, yeah. Not Belter.
Well, because just the how low the G for the gravity was. So if you ever had to do like a mission anywhere tough, you'd be basically like, oh look, I can't go again because
you have to take medicine now. Go down the well.
I mean, yeah, they have benefits too. Like they're better in space and better in, stuff like that. But at the same time, I think Mars is probably actually they're not like high G, but they're they're kind of like more adept, I guess.
It's like 0.6 G. They're better attuned to gravity than Belters, but they also have agoraphobia because they live underground.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think we're coming across a lot of wide open spaces. Maybe. I don't know. I guess I didn't read that part or forgot about it. So, yeah.
Wait. Well, I mean, you that was in Caliban's War. You just finished reading that.
Yeah, I know. I just
because that part where like Bobby is like finds out she owns Earth and then like she walks outside for the first time and just nearly collapses.
Yeah. And then the guard by the door is like letting her back in and kind of joking around with her and shit because that's like you probably never see anything that big and open before, right? So, no, I kind of forgot about that part of the book, but I also forgot about that part in the reading the rules and stuff like that. There, because everybody has a drawback as much as everybody has a strength. So,
the guy created just like the character I created was James Dresden, former military. I was just gonna make him like it was a shipping guy right now, like that was the idea for the character, but and then he was poor. Because I think military, the military, not ability, like focus is like only attainable through if you are of poor wealth. Yeah, wealth is interesting because wealth isn't. There's nothing. You don't have a monetary value. You don't have a bank account like this. Is how much money you have. You have a number that's assigned wealth. I'm not sure how complicated other tabletop RPGs get, but they probably just, like, let's just lower the numbers down. Like, we don't need all these.
Well, they also use like D20s, D10s.
Yeah.
They use more than 6-sided dice. Because, yeah, for like something like that where it's like a critical success is something more I think like 16 or something like that on a 20-sided die. And like usually a success is like above a 9 or a 10. So it's kind of the same system, or it sounds like a lot of the examples was like a really easy test is like a 7.
Yeah.
But like a really hard one's like you need a fucking like 16 or 18 to get this done. And it's like, yeah, you're definitely gonna have to spend your fortune points on that one. Fucking, I'm gonna change one of my dice into a fucking 6. I hope it's not the drama dice, because then it costs double focus points.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of math and note taking. Then I don't know. So what was your character, Andrew?
My character is Tom Haverford from Mars, middle class pilot. That's a caregiver. That's his drive. I kind of wish I would have not rolled for that one, but okay. So the scruffy guy, jester-like grin, oddly attached to his vest and his sarcasm. He is pilot focused with dexterity, so he gets +2 to his pilot tests. His best strength is dexterity. He basically probably couldn't lift a barbell if he had to, because his strength's -1. But everything else is at least a 1 or better. And I chose Inspire, but I guess I could choose Medic too if we really need a medic.
Well, I thought I was because my character is very general, and I thought like I would make another character. I thought I would make a medic character, because if I'm GMing and also like playing the game, I was make somebody, because then I know all the stuff. Then like maybe I should make a character that'll like help you guys out.
Yeah, because I can go with Inspire because I have communication as a 2 out of 5. So I mean,
yeah, all the abilities are what, -2 to 5. That's all they go.
Well, I'm glad I only got 1 negative, because God, that would really really suck that more.
Oh, I just created the fucking name. I was gonna make a medical. Oh fuck! What was her name? Oh well. It was like Jade something. Oh, anyways.
No, I think it'd be cool to see.
But you finished Caliban, or you finished Caliban's War. What'd you think of that?
No, I like the book. Matches up well with my expectations of where I thought the story was going to be going. As far as, like heading off towards, more mentioned, but more on the sidelines for most of the book. It's kind of like, well, this is interesting what's happening with the protomolecule on Venus. Yeah. Sorry, I was like confused between Venus and Jupiter. I'm like, fuck, which one is that? But
it was around Jupiter, and then it moved to Venus.
But so it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of interesting what's going on there. And finally seeing, I'm going to butcher the shit out of her name. The Indian dignitary.
Avasarala?
Yeah, I never get her name right.
That's the way I say it because of the audiobook.
Yeah.
That's the way he says it in the book, but the way she actually says it in the TV show is different.
Yeah.
It's like Avasarala or something like that.
Well, because I know the TV show has to be different because it's trying to differentiate itself and be outstanding, just because you're not expecting the same thing from the book.
Well, like, you watched the first season, and they introduced her in the first season in the TV series, but it makes sense there.
Yeah, and it still makes sense. He's still a good character. I found the most annoying character to be the scientist, but I think everybody would at this.
Oh, is that Proxity Mung? That guy?
I mean, he's a good character. I know his motivations to find his daughter, and that he's very good with that and very good with trying to do that, but he fucks up everything else so bad. I mean, not that Holden doesn't fuck things up. It's kind of interesting to see the protomolecule used as a weapon, or try to be weaponized, and that backfired really poorly. And then, just seeing a bunch of actual space battles this time instead of just hearing about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of interesting to see, because there's like 6 books after that one now, or 5?
Yeah.
So it's like, well,
you got
okay.
Abaddon's Gate, and then you got Cibola Burn.
Yep.
Then you got Nemesis Games, Babylon's Ashless, Persepolis Rising, and Tiamat's Wrath. So yeah, it's 6 books.
Okay. Because I actually own Cibola Burns, because that was actually a half-price book, so I just haven't got I haven't read the Gate yet.
Prepare to be disappointed.
Well, I'm gonna have to prepare after I read the third book because I wasn't obviously gonna skip a book or anything because it's a pretty big cliffhanger at the end of book 2, and you kind of wonder what the fuck's going on. If because I mean, obviously 6 more books, humanity doesn't die,
Yeah.
but at the same time, something big's got to happen because it's leaving. So I mean, it didn't sound like it was ever just gonna like, hey, I'm just gonna leave and go somewhere else now, bye, like kind of thing. Plus, I want to see what the Mormons do. Like, because Johnson's talking about, like, hey, we gotta get that shit back because the Mormons are kind of pissed off. They're trying to sue us and shit, and, like, fucking...
Oh, they just fucking steal that thing. It's legitimate salvage.
I mean, because it sounds like a really big, awesome ship, and I was kind of, like, wondering where that story arc was going to go, since obviously in the television show it doesn't do anything with it, besides mention it and stuff.
I mean, they use it.
Oh, in the television show? Well, not the first season.
Oh yeah,
Only one I've
because I forgot. Like the second season finishes up
Yeah,
the first book, so yeah, I forgot. You haven't.
I
you
still haven't
seen that
watched it
part.
yet because my wife keeps telling me she wants to watch it with me, but then she never wants to watch it. So it's one of those things.
It happens.
I know,
It's an hour show,
Yeah.
but no, it's
and the new season comes out sometime this year.
Sometime. Yeah.
I mean, it's completed shooting. They just probably do go special effects and shit.
And
Yeah.
speaking of started shooting, Bill and Ted 3 started shooting this week.
Was it the Face the Music? Is that something like that?
I don't know. All I know is that there was already leaked footage of them coming out of a telephone booth or whatever,
Yeah.
walking across grass and shit. Which, I mean, I guess they probably would have leaked it, but the other time it's like, why is this? There's not really any spoilers. That's not really
No.
like everybody knew. They already made the announcement.
Yeah,
like, 2
they
days
announced
before
that
they were filming.
Yeah, they were filming.
So it's not.
Although
like a
when you
fucking-
see that like behind the scenes footage, I never saw any cameras filming them.
Oh.
So that was weird. Other than the camera that's filming them from afar being leaked footage, there was no like actual like production crew like with booms and cameras filming them.
Well, I know that. Did you see the video about the director from Shazam making fun of his own movie? and
Yeah.
shit? Where he's like, yeah, I was worried so much about this problem of him flying in the mall, I didn't notice all the crew standing behind him shot or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, we didn't have time to fix it, so we just put shopping bags and shit in their hands.
Yeah, they digitally put shopping bags in the crew hands to make it look like they're just other mall goers.
And so it's like if you look at the crew behind him when he first starts to fly, like they don't look happy or surprised at all. They just look like
yeah, they're not
"Eh,
reacting because they're doing their fucking jobs.
And then him talking about like the thought process for the children and shit, where they're going to look for Billy, which I actually thought was really interesting. Like I would never have really put that much thought into like what the hell they were wearing and shit. And it's like, oh yeah, he does know that they have to be wearing winter coats in the last scene, in the fight scene or whatever. So how does he get them in winter coats? He's like, well, they have to go outside. And then, oh yeah, we didn't have her this day or whatever because contract reasons and shit. And so we had to shoot her and like not.
Yeah,
tie
it's talking
her
about like
shoes.
problem solving, like when you're shooting different scenes on different days and you have different actors at different days, and somebody brings up the problems like they got to be wearing this winter gear, but like when do they get their winter clothes on? And so like they try to solve the problem, but then that ends up creating more problems. and then like he's actually like talking about how like this hurts, like he's like talking about people like reviewing his movie, and like this hurts, if you don't know this inside process, it like hurts like your evaluation of the movie. And then at the end, he talks about how like, they made this one girl like slow to get her clothes on or whatever, and then at the end she ends up being the fastest, and like that's a revelation, and it's like a complete mistake. And the guy's like, "Sure, I meant to do that."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I saw the movie in theaters, and I actually really enjoyed that movie. I don't think it was bad at all. So I mean,
No, I heard good things about it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it got
for
really good reviews.
for a
so-
DC Universe movie, it's probably
Yeah.
one of the better ones. That and Wonder Woman.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like an action-packed extravaganza type of thing. It's like a very lighthearted, like comedic superhero movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought it was fantastic.
It's
so,
it's now out digitally, I believe. So I'm
Yeah,
just
because
gonna have
it's
to pick that up.
July 16th. It's out on.
I
Blu-ray.
think, yeah, because you can get on. Because I just
2 weeks ahead.
on video on demand. I got the Microsoft thing. I got a Captain Marvel where it has like the audio commentary and stuff with it. I haven't watched it yet. I just got it.
Yeah,
See how that goes.
I just rewatched Captain Marvel last weekend, and my wife was like, "I liked it a lot better the second time," and it was like, "Yeah, I thought it was fine the second time. I mean, I didn't think it was a special movie or anything in theaters, but it's definitely fine."
And then I kind of blanked on Spider-Man, so I don't know if I'm gonna go see that in theaters. Although I hear it's good.
Oh, I hear it's good too.
It kind of seems like everybody went and saw Endgame, and then like I don't want to go to the theaters again for like half a year.
Oh.
It kind of seems like people aren't really. There's been a lull in the summer after Endgame came out.
Well, because Men in Black 4 or whatever was supposedly
international. Yeah, that failed.
And not really.
Toy Story 4 is like it's got good reviews and it's doing well, but like they expected to have done better.
Well, the new Lion King thing hits theaters in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I would ever.
Are you and Stacy going to see Midsommar?
Which one's that?
The guy who directed Hereditary. This is his next movie. It's out now.
Oh well, we might.
It's like kind of a weird psychological horror movie where this group goes on vacation in like I don't know, like Sweden or some shit, and then ends up being like a horror movie.
Oh yeah, I've seen the trailer. So we'll probably watch that at home. Like
okay.
Every time I see a trailer for that, just reminds me of the Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. So
Yeah.
I have no interest in seeing it whatsoever. So.
Well, I heard people rave about the Hereditary movie, so I was. Oh. I know you really liked it. And you went to the theaters. I thought you and Stacy went to the theaters.
No, we watched it here.
Oh, okay.
It was the one where we were I was doing the podcast, and she kept coming in. She's like, "Nathan, I don't know if I can watch this alone." I was like, "Well, I'm." So yeah, but then we watched it again later together, and it's like, oh yeah, this is really weird. You don't know where this is going.
Yeah, or did you actually see Alita: Battle Angel when it came out?
No, I haven't yet.
Because I know that comes out soon too, but I don't think it's on digital yet.
It was a bunch of movies. The last time I've been getting. It's harder to avoid a migraine after watching a movie in a theater, so I've been like. It's hard for me to like go out knowing I'm just gonna like ruin the rest of my day and sleep in bed for 8 hours.
Oh.
You try like taking like painkillers beforehand and stuff.
Oh, that doesn't help migraine at all. Unless you have like the real good stuff.
Is it just the lighting effect on your?
Yeah, it's sitting in a dark room with bright lights at the screen, staring at that for 2 hours, and then walking out into daylight. That I just immediately get a migraine. Now, if I cover my eyes, it stops it. But the last times I've been out, it's just like it doesn't matter what I do, I get a migraine.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Well, it's just
No, I mean I didn't know because I don't think you ever mentioned it when we went to movies before. Not that we do it a lot, but it's.
Well, it's just been recently. It's been like the whole day was ruined. It's like, oh, Endgame was cool. Time to sleep for 16 hours.
You think like maybe wearing like sunglasses when you go out to?
It might, but I have transitional lenses. I'm like, but it still takes a time for them to warm up. That's why I cover my eyes.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. There's possible ways around it, but it's probably one of the major things I don't talk about. It's like why I'm not going to the movie theater, other than the experience of going to a movie theater. It's because I get a massive migraine.
Okay, the next time we go to a movie, here's the plan. You wear a hockey jersey, and then put on like a ball cap and a fake beard. I'll cover your head with a black bag, and we'll go out like, Mr. Smith, this way, Mr. Smith. and just like push people out of the way. It's like, get out of his way, get out of his way. This man directed Clerks. Then it'll stop your migraine, but it'll also make you feel like Kevin Smith for like 5 minutes and people will mob you. It'll be a double rewarding experience.
Who the fuck's Kevin Smith?
Have you seen any of his new web series shit where he does like the unboxing videos and stuff?
Probably here and there, but I haven't sought it out in any of his stuff.
I mean, not that it's like anything anybody needs to see, because it's just basically, you know, a bunch of just like, hey, look, this is what we got this week, and like probably the most entertaining one was when they did all the like the cheap superhero knockoff colognes from like Asia and shit, where it's like Tony Stark and Hulk have fragrances and stuff, and so they all like. There's probably like 12 of them between James Bond and like Hulk and a bunch of other shit. I think the one they picked out they liked the most was like fucking Thor or Captain America, one of those two, because it smelled like a fruity woman's perfume. But everything else smelled like What's that? Oh yeah,
I thought you were gonna say a bidet.
No, it smelled like patchouli oil, or it smelled like just concentrate. What their name for it was ass juice. It just smelled like that. But like just seeing them just like walk into it and like try to like spritz it around and smell like, yeah, this one smells the same as Tony Stark. Like,
Thor smells just like Tony Stark.
so that was kind of funny. Plus they like graded the bottles on style, not just substance and shit. But then there's like cool ones where they have like the new Alien action figures and like the $100 like Ripley in the Enviro suit from like number 2 where she shoves the Queen out the airlock and shit like
the power lifter.
Well, the Queen, like if you get that's like $125. And there's like a little thing of alien eggs that come in like an egg carton or whatever, and it's like not for human consumption on the outside of it, but then it's like a gag because it has like the face hugger flying at your face. And so you're like, wait, is this for human consumption or not for human consumption? Because we don't know. But like they actually had like Nathan, you should check it out because you'll appreciate it too. From like it was literally like really solid like alien figurines, like Ripley in a bunch of different outfits, and then aliens and different characters and stuff from some of the earlier movies.
Is it just already done, or is it like a kit you build yourself?
No, these are already done. These action figures and like posable like in a bunch of different directions and stuff.
Huh. I have to check that out.
Because they even did the old Dick Tracy figures in the last episode. And they're like, what do you think this goes for? And he's like, and then Jay's like, well, from other episodes, I'm going to guess since it's old and they didn't really make a lot of them, they're like 50 or $60 a piece. And you're like, no, $2. Like,
is this just like their weird way to like continue comic book men without the television?
Kind of, because I mean, they just go into pricing or what it's worth sometimes. Like one of the last episodes, they did Lego Dimensions, and it was just Kevin Smith like, I'm not really into video games. This is my shit. Like just like having Doctor Who, Batman, and Homer Simpson all in the same game. And it's like, how many times is that gonna happen? But I mean, that's the only time I don't think they ever talked about prices. They just talked about what was in it. So, but no, it's kind of interesting. Just like if you have like 10 or 15 minutes and want to kill time, because them just being themselves and. Like one of the intros of the videos, like they always make up fake names for themselves, like, "Hi, I'm Shaggy and I'm Scooby Doo," and shit like that. And so, fucking, the Simpsons one where he was like, "I'm Homer Simpson," and then Jay was like, I'm Bart Simpson," and he was like, "Yeah, I like how you went there from you're my wife to you're my son," or whatever. It's kind of a funny part where it's like, I like how you reversed course there to not make it awkward or whatever, like.
We don't want people to think we're having sex with each other.
So yeah, it was definitely produced, but at the same time, yeah, it doesn't seem as bad as Comic Book Men in a lot of ways. Anyway, we watched a movie this week.
Yes, we did.
It's called Boys Don't Cry.
Yes, we watched the 1999 Boys Don't Cry. The Hilary Swank and some other people.
Was it Chloe
Sevigny and Sarsgaard.
Yeah.
And Becky.
Was some Sexton the Third or something like that?
Brendan Sexton the Third.
Yeah, that's it.
Directed by Kimberly Pierce. I think some other stuff she worked.
Yeah, I didn't look up her filmography, but
last thing she did was the 2013 Carrie.
Okay.
Oh, the one with Chloe Grace Martinez?
No, that one came out like last year.
Oh.
This is a different one.
Oh, I guess I forgot that they remade Carrie that
They do that a lot. They remake Carrie a lot.
Yeah,
it's like what's your new take on Carrie? She's black now. It's like, no, that doesn't actually add anything. But does it?
There's that one that came out, it was just called Carrie 2, but it was just Carrie.
Yeah, I watched this movie, and this was this was kind of what put Hilary Swank on the map, or at least she won an Oscar for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was the next Karate Kid, but that didn't do anything for her.
Well, I mean, this showed her acting chops, and I mean, yeah, it's early enough that she definitely got more roles off of this. This is her first Oscar. Did she get a second Oscar for
Yes.
$1 Million Baby.
$1 Million Baby,
Yeah.
which
And then after that, she dropped off the map again and kind of resurfaced with Logan or the
Logan
Yeah.
Lucky or Lucky Logan. It's one of those.
Logan Lucky, I think.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of what you think it would be.
I mean, she doesn't have a huge role in that movie, but
But it's like the last thing I've really noticed her in.
No, I know, but it's still a really good movie too. So it's hard to.
I believe she has something coming out recently, but
Yeah, I can't remember what it is though. Anyway, this movie. No, she's.
Oh, it is that. It is her.
Okay, it is that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Anyway.
I was looking at the Carrie movie that came out in 2020.
Oh. Anyway, this movie actually. Well, because the Fire Stick wasn't working appropriately, so I kind of just went to at least so you get the backstory and the story of what happened. Cause
Yeah, this is a true story.
Yeah, it's true
I
story.
didn't realize that when I watched it and I did some research. It's like, oh, this really happened. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, some things are changed.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of stuff with the Chloe 70s character that she maintains it didn't happen like that. And where she was present during like rapes and murders and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably didn't happen in real life.
Well, I mean, there's other stuff too where, I mean, not that Hilary Swank's character seems totally innocent and just like you're totally
Oh
on
no!
her side the whole movie, but it covers up a lot of her like stealing and.
So to
check
be
forging.
sensitive here, when we say her, we're just referring to Hilary Swank. We're not getting necessarily into the gender pronoun stuff. But,
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. But
we're referring to Hilary Swank.
Yes.
Because is it Brendan? Yeah, it's Brendan, right?
yeah,
Brendan Tina.
yeah, because
Brand-
it used to be Tina Brendan. So,
Yeah.
just name switch.
Because
Which
he's kind of a grifter. He's kind of he's
Yeah,
a
he's not
con
some-
artist. He's not really necessarily like he's likable, but he's not necessarily like a great person.
Well, like the one news report I watched that was like 15 minutes long about the incident and stuff like that was more like, oh, he only stole or conned people out of money to pay for gifts for women and stuff like that. It's like, so if I stole a bunch of money and only gave it to poor people, that would make it okay.
If it's for love, it's okay.
Like, I mean, not saying that, I mean, it's just low-level check fraud and just like shoplifting mostly and shit. Not that that's like the worst thing, but it's not great either.
Yeah, he's not like robbing banks and shit, but it's still skeezy.
But I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that, the whole reason in the movie he leaves is supposedly just because one night he got in a bar fight and decided to go with these people. But instead, in real life, it's like, no, he just got ran out of town basically because he couldn't get a date because everybody knew who he or she was. And then also his crimes caught up to him, so he decided to skip town and start anew. So, I mean, kind of gave up that angle too. I think you could have made that work just fine. I don't see why you needed to do the whole vehicle of like, oh, he met her there or met someone there and ran off with them and stuff. But I mean, I guess
He gave a woman an orgasm, but she didn't want it from another woman.
But I mean, otherwise, I think the rest of it's, except for like what you and Colin said, where it's like whether Chloe's character was like there at certain times, like during the rape or murder, like that was pretty much the only other parts that weren't really lining up with the true story. But I mean, obviously, whenever Hollywood adapts something, whether it's independent or studio, it's never going to be completely 100% honest. So
Well,
ratchet up that drama.
yeah.
yeah. So this, what I took away from this movie the most is what I liked about it was Hilary Swank's performance.
That's pretty much all I took away from it.
I don't think really the rest of the movie was that great. It was just fun to
No.
watch her play Brandon Tina in a very convincing, vulnerable. It was just it's a weird story because this is essentially someone who, like, I mean, when this movie was made, that stuff was seen.
Yeah, this is maybe one of the few movies that hold up.
Yeah.
Because it's more sensitively aligned with today.
Yeah, it's sympathetic to the character, but also kind of acknowledges that, oh, this is a very deceptive person
Yeah.
who deceives people in ways that get him killed. because when you challenge people in small town America with stuff like this, oh, they'll kill you. I mean, that would still happen to this day. I thought we had a serial killer in Detroit for a while, because there were a lot of sex workers, transgender sex workers, and like 4 of them got killed in a month. And they thought it was now they've dropped the serial killer angle, and they just think it's like guys that thought they were picking up a girl for sex, and it turned out not to be a girl, and they were killed. But yeah, so this stuff like still goes on, big cities and small cities.
I mean, not that it's ever anybody's business, what somebody chooses to call themselves or what they have underneath the hood or anything, but at the same time, I think honesty is still probably the best policy when it comes to that, because nobody's gonna. I mean,
that's in this movie. It's harder because there's like no support system. She has one person that helps her out. And
and even he's tired of her because the shit she drags back to his doorstep. Because I mean, everybody the slurs thrown at him, like when they're trying to beat into the RV or around town, the gossip about his cousin, was it? I think.
Yeah.
Like, they all know that he's gay. So, in common knowledge, like, they seem to leave him alone, but he lives in a trailer, and they have no problem vandalizing the place when they feel like it. So, he doesn't exactly have a golden life, but it's still better than him, like, going out with a guy for a beer and then trying to get him a handy back to his trailer. Like, I think it's a surprise dynamic that doesn't work very well, because that's usually when people, lose their shit. If they know of something ahead of time, they're more likely to not be assholes, but literally not kill somebody or do something entirely drastic.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that get like really challenged by stuff to where they just like, oh, I can't handle this.
What's some of the thing with not Stellan? Which Skarsgård is this? Peter Skarsgård. His character is like somewhat charming, but like if he's offended, that's when he just like turns violent and turns violent and what do you call that? Uncooperative.
Right.
Like you can't convince him of anything. It's like here comes the violence, but then so that's the weird dichotomy with his character, and that's why he can't get because him and the other guy rape Brendan. And then Brendan goes and tells the cops, and that's what he can't put up with. It's like, nobody can know this. I'm just going to go kill him.
Even though the chief of police was more interested in learning about what happened during the rape for whatever reason, not really actually putting charges on anybody. I mean,
well, and in real life, that sheriff actually got a wrongful death suit put against him because when this was reported, he was kind of like, well, this is a lie just like all the other lies. You're going around town telling everyone you're a guy, but you're not. So this is like, how am I supposed to believe this allegation too? So that like the real story of that sheriff was not far off of, he's like, so tell me exactly what happened. Because, I want to know if you're telling the truth or not. And it got pretty ugly. Because this person had obviously been beaten up. But yeah, so they were playing it like, they were very indifferent to these people. And in real life, those guys that killed the main character they were both convicted felons. They'd been convicted of other crimes too.
Oh, before this? Oh.
Yeah, they were violent people before this.
Well, I mean, in the movie, though, it does hint to their past of being criminals because they talk about going and stealing cars in other states and coming back. But they also talk about, like, oh, yeah, we were in jail before and did this and that, and, we didn't get along well there because, we did whatever we wanted and fuck everybody else, and that kind of angle. And it's like, yeah, they're just going to be lifetime prisoners. They're not going to do anything else. Because it just seems like they're in and out of prison for the most part, is the picture I thought was painted of them.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of composite characters in this movie from the real life people. Because some names, because I think in real life 3 people were killed. Because they killed Brandon Tina, and then they killed 2 other people who were witnesses to what they were doing.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't. Because I didn't read that part.
Yeah, well, that's the real. Yeah, that's the because I didn't know there was a whole real story behind this. I thought, oh, this was a drama, kind of concocted from different things. It's like, nope, this was a real person, and this is what happened.
Well, yeah, right now for our film of '99 series, we just kind of hit upon the critically acclaimed section, which usually movies I avoid because it's like I find them too dramatic and unrealistic.
Yeah.
But we've been surprised by them. Because last time we did Cider House Rules, and that was fucking weird and depressing.
Yeah, it was a lot weirder than I was hoping. Like, oh, this is just strange.
Yeah, this is a pretty. Well, I guess it's not necessarily a straightforward story, but it's a linear story with a great lead. And,
yeah. Yeah, really, what carries this movie is the main performance by Hilary Swank. Is this compelling, damaged person that's trying to live this life in a dangerous poverty. It's the poorer people get, typically the more violence you're going to deal with, and you knew right from the beginning from stuff that happened in this story. It's like, oh, it's not going to go good for Brandon. It didn't, and then you find out later on. It's like, oh, this really happened, which makes the movie more dramatic.
Well, all I can say is at least the guys that raped him got practice for prison because they kind of transitioned a little bit from it's like that's I don't know how the hell like that was the first thing that entered their mind is like what they wanted to do to him or whatever after they found out it wasn't a him, it was a her. Where it was like, oh, you lied to us about being a dude for so long and you're dating my girlfriend. And it's like, oh, you're actually a girl? Okay, we're gonna rape you now. And it's like, okay. She's dressed in guy's clothing, haircut like a guy, and then in your mind has been a guy for, however much time, and then all of a sudden in the span of like an hour she's a girl. That's rape her. Like, what the fuck?
You can watch interviews with those guys. It's like you can tell definitely not a couple bright bulbs there.
They're probably intoxicated as well or on something.
Oh, yeah. It didn't.
Because the one guy flipped on the other guy, so one guy got life in prison with no parole, and the other guy got death. So they were, in the end, they, that's how we're going to do it.
It looks like Hilary Swank did immediately after some movie called The Gift. I'm not sure if she was a major character in that. And then you have The Affair of the Necklace. I don't remember anything about that.
No.
Then you got Insomnia. That's the next big one I remember her being in.
Which one was that?
That's the one with Al Pacino and Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah, that was a weird one. Is that the one in Alaska or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
And then you have The Core.
That was a good one. That's just for blind entertainment.
And then, after that, there's some... I vaguely remember Iron Jawed Angels. That was an HBO movie. And then $1 Million Baby.
Yeah, $1 Million Babies. These are the two movies that I remember her. This one and $1 Million Baby.
Make it sound like it's a child theft ring movie. $1 Million Babies.
She's really good in Logan Lucky. I mean, it's a small part, but she's really good. That's a surprisingly good movie. It's like, hey, the guy who made Ocean's 11 made a redneck Ocean's 11.
Have you seen the Knives Out trailer yet?
Yeah.
Like that seems like either it's gonna be really good or really horrible. I don't know which.
I mean, I know people hate Last Jedi, but I trust fucking what's his name? I already forgot his name. Rian Johnson, yeah. Because like I was there when because I jumped on board when he did that movie Brick.
Oh yeah.
I've watched all his movies since. I think not Brothers McMullen. What's the other one? It's a Brothers movie. Fucking, I'm just gonna have to look up his film.
Yeah, look that one up.
Shit.
Yeah, I think I've only seen Last Jedi and maybe one of his other movies. I didn't.
Looper.
Oh, okay. I didn't have a problem with Last Jedi at all, so I mean, I know people have a really big issue with it, but I think it actually told a different story than the first one that just rehashed New Hope, so I don't think you should be able to fault it just because it was something you didn't care for, I guess.
Brothers Bloom. I think that's an
Yeah.
underrated movie. Like, I remember I watched the trailer, I kind of liked it. I didn't hear good things about it, and then when I finally watched it, I was like, I really liked it. It
Yeah,
kind
it's-
of there's like a it kind of has like a not to this extent, but shit. Now I forgot the movie. What's the movie with the magicians and shit?
Oh, The Prestige.
The Prestige. It's kind of like The Prestige, but like a comedy
I was gonna say,
about
or
brothers who are con artists.
Either you're talking about what the magician that Edward Norton did at the same time.
No, not that one. Nobody talks about the magician.
I saw like
And
10
then he
minutes
did
of that
like
movie.
maybe the most watched Breaking Bad episode, Ozymandias. That episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Knives Out just looks like an Agatha Christie movie, but with like some flair.
Well, it's got such a huge like actor pool of like different ranges and variety that it's kind of like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
what are you gonna do with that? And like Daniel Craig's playing yet another not Cockney or not English person, so that makes it already interesting because he did just a good job. And Logan Lucky as the hick con guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect
Explosive expert or whatever.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect him to be like a standout role in that movie. I just thought he was there just for like, oh, we can get Daniel
Everybody's
Craig.
surprisingly good in that movie.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's like I didn't expect him to be the surprising
Yeah.
good part of it too.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think like, oh, he does a southern accent quite well. It's like, but he's just a charming character in that movie.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to dislike that movie at all. So it's kind of. I mean, I know Daniel Craig. Is this actually going to be his last Bond movie? Because I know he hurt himself.
I believe so.
And stuff, and he's.
But I mean, no one said that. I think everyone just like assumes that.
I can't remember who the fuck the villain is in this movie now, because I know that was something different too. In this James Bond movie, like they had a different villain or somebody was playing the villain that nobody else would have thought of. It's either Rami
I don't know.
Malek or if it's.
So just Bond 25. Oh,
Yeah.
Rami Malek.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I was like, fuck, I can't remember. Because I know now that Bad Robot's fucking done and shit, and
Bad Robot.
or not Bad Robot, fucking.
Oh, Mr. Robot.
Yeah, Mr. Robot.
Oh, is that one over?
Yeah.
I think it's been
Have
canceled.
they had their last season, or is it upcoming next season?
think
That's the last
It's either
one.
upcoming or in the middle of. I don't know. It usually aired during the summer, didn't it?
I haven't caught up on it. I watched that one episode where it was like all done in one take, and I was like, that was awesome, and then I didn't follow up on the rest of the fucking season.
Well, I haven't ever watched anything past the 4th episode, so
It's really good.
And I own 3 seasons of it.
Man,
so-
okay, I'm gonna spoil something for you. But it's in the second season. There's a fucking episode where it turns into a '90s sitcom. Like literally, it's like 4x3, and like it like becomes like Full House, but like they're hiding a dead body and shit.
You have a laugh track and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fucking hilarious. That's great. I definitely need to continue to watch that show. It's just, there's so much fucking shit. Like, I know I've said this before, but there's just so much fucking shit anymore. It's just impossible to keep up.
Well, I felt like I've caught up on things, and then recently, and then like in like the last 3 weeks, there's like Jessica Jones comes out, Evangelion comes out, the Stranger Things came out. So I was like, oh fuck.
Well, I know I made time by not telling myself I'm not going to watch Jessica Jones season 3. Like, I don't care.
Oh, you know?
Well, it's just ending, so who the fuck cares?
Well, I always thought like of all the series, those were the ones that were done best. But I still think the second season was a letdown. But I still just like
It's not so much that I don't.
I've like I know there's nothing to like hope for, but I just still I like the way they make their shows.
I guess that's why I'm disappointed, because it's like it's not like I don't like the character and I don't like what they were doing with her and stuff. It's just that
It's not going
well,
anywhere.
they contractually can't play those characters again for 3 years after the series ends, and Disney's already is in talks to reboot them by the time their streaming service
Yeah.
comes up. So that means everything's going to be redone and recasted and just
Yeah.
totally. So it's like I don't feel like investing my time in it and my energy, because it's like, well, I'll love that.
Yeah,
and then I'll
what's
just
it gonna take
instantly-
you to watch Disney's version of those?
One, I'm not gonna buy Disney's streaming service. So
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I don't know. It'd either take them like
yeah, because like I really enjoyed that. Like Daredevil came out, it was unexpected, it was cool. They expanded and you got all these other shows, and then they just all collapsed at the same time. It's like, why would I invest in them ever doing this again?
Well, it's the thing. Punisher really needed
like I said, I'll take Punisher any form, so I could probably do with whatever Punisher they put out.
Punisher could have had more seasons. Iron Fist, actually, I thought was actually growing to something watchable in the third season. Well, because you had Gun Fist, which was going to be a huge point for me. And also Danny Rand not being Iron Fist. So, yeah. I mean, those were all winning combinations for a good third season of that show. The first good season of any season of that show. And then you had the mediocre and kind of like transition period for maybe Luke Cage becoming a anti-hero kind of person in the third season. That was
the Luke Cage stuff always had an interesting style to it.
And yeah,
they're always kind of a bit too hokey, but I always liked their style.
And then Daredevil was still promising. You could still have a lot more.
Yeah, that second season was a letdown, but that third season, man, I really fucking enjoyed that third season.
I mean, you still had so much more shit going for Daredevil. Jessica Jones is the same. You could have brought Misty Knight in from all the shows that she's always on anyway. And
I just wanted to see a show with her. Because I remember, like, in the second season of Iron Fist, like, she got me through that season. Because I was just, no. And then Misty Knight, I was like, I'll watch anything with that fucking, she's great.
Well, that's the thing, though. She finally got her fucking bionic arm, and she finally got her superpower.
Yeah.
So it was just her, God damn it. All the people, the detective agency, they form in that fucking borough that works with all those superheroes together. And that could have been its own fucking show. Could have been a spin-off from all that shit. And it could have been workable and drawn upon all those characters. But instead, and that Night Nurse totally going away, too. So it's like, fucking Jesus Christ, you fucked this up royally. I know that Disney wasn't going to let you hang on to it forever. But at the same time, it's like, God damn it, this is fucking stupid. Instead, I gotta hope that they do a good job doing it again. I mean, I know they'll do a better job at Iron Fist. But, I mean, will they also do... Because they talk about...
Do you think they're just going to go back to those properties, or do you think they're going to start with something else?
I think Moon Knight could be a good property to explore, because that's... Especially if you pick up...
Because, presumably they can do any Marvel series, right? And just make a TV show with it?
Yeah, but, I mean...
Like, they could do an X-Men TV show if they wanted to, right?
I like their reasoning, though, of, like, the... As much as I disagree that Daredevil and Luke Cage are, like, small-time heroes and only deal with small problems in shit, because it's more suitable for TV format, which I do agree. I don't want to see the X-Men, like, trying to battle, like, fucking Apocalypse over, like, a season and shit, because, like, I don't know how you would do that, I guess, how you draw it out.
I don't know, if you do, like, a lower expense X-Men show, it'd be more about the political stuff of being a mutant in the society.
True.
You could explore that more.
I mean, especially now with still all the violence against...
What is it? Like, Fox has like was it called Mutants or something? It's like a movie coming out. That's it's like an X-Men offshoot.
Yeah, it's like a horror.
But it looks terrible.
Yeah, it's either gonna be. It's one of those movies that. Oh, it's gonna get released in like October. It looks almost like a horror movie mashup with X-Men. It's just the New Mutants.
Well, I guess there's also Legion. I heard that was really good,
but that's already canceled.
Yeah, they got 2 seasons, right?
3, I think.
3, okay. I meant to watch that.
My wife's related to that show.
Yeah, I watched the first episode, and it was like, oh, this is cool, because Aubrey Plaza plays a fucking crazy character.
Oh.
Where she's, like, constantly dead or, like, half buried in a wall, and she's just, like, making jokes, and it's like, is she real or not? What the fuck's going on here?
That's the kind of... I've, like, half-watched episodes. I don't understand that show at all. I would never get into it. I don't like it. It's just, like, it's one of the things I hate most about any form of visual media, where it's just, like, I can't make a story out of it, and I can't follow it. It's just complete nonsense the whole way through to me, so it's just, I can't watch it. And because I was asking my wife, is like, is this about Charles Xavier's son? And she was like, no. And just like, well, this is about, people that have fucking, like, mutant powers and, like, use their minds and shit to control people, right? Which is, like, kind of. I'm like, well, Legion...
Yeah, it's in the X-Men universe. I don't know how it all the lineage of it is.
Well, because like the Legion comics is about Charles Xavier's son.
Oh,
like,
it is?
fucking
Okay.
kid.
I didn't even know he had a kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Or is
I
it
don't
like
know.
an alternate universe kid?
I don't know how canon it is because like Bishop and Cable are trying to save him and shit. So I don't know. If
I don't
like,
think
an
that
actual-
happens in a TV show.
Yeah. So I mean, like if that was the case, I'd be like, yeah, I'll try and watch it just for the payoff of maybe this ends with something else. But so far, it sounds like it's like, oh look, he has a romantic relationship with her, and like weird things happen every episode. Because like no episode is even the same format. It's like fucking different
Yeah.
every time. And that's
Well, he's
also
like in an
jarring.
insane asylum, so it's like they kind of play with that whole, like, what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So
But no, it's I don't know what Marvel will do. I think if they explored like Moon Knight,
what is Moon Knight? I don't even know what that is.
it's this guy. It's basically like multiple personality Batman with a white instead of black. It was like a 1970s character. He was a cab driver, a pool shark, a playboy.
So an
and,
Uber driver, a Texas Hold'em guy.
Yeah, well, basically
Poker guy.
basically he just had like different fucking hats. Like he had like 5 or 6 multiple personalities. And
He's a representative of the gig economy.
But he was supposedly a mercenary at one point that took a job, and like the god of death, like it's Anubis for Egyptian,
Yeah, no, yeah.
like he granted him like powers to work at night to fight evil and injustice in the world. So like in the 1970s comic, he has a butler that flies around the moon copter that's French, that has a beret, and like is the stupid most cliche thing ever. But it's also kind of cool because it's like him like being different people all throughout the day, and then at night becoming a different thing with like superpowers and shit. But like in the new
Does he like retain knowledge of his stuff during the day?
not really like
Is he like secretly like?
he always kind of goes to the same diner and shit, so you kind of think he does. Like he always has the same routine.
Like, because I'm imagining there's something where, like, he's a cab driver, and then, like, he gleams some information, but not intentionally.
Oh.
He just gets it, and then when he becomes a superhero, like, that information comes into play. But he's not necessarily intentionally going out, like, during his daytime to investigate these things. It's just, like, the jobs he takes, he ends up getting that information.
Maybe. I mean, I only own like
It's 70s comics, that's probably going too deep in expectation. It's like, just put a French guy in a copter.
But the newer runs, like the reboot of the character, have the same backstory of him being a mercenary and a little bit of like, it's more like he's schizophrenic now though, because he kind of goes back between like, oh he's kind of a normal guy and he works a cab route, and then then he's like fucking crazy again and like fucking tries to kill people. But then it's also he battles like demons and monsters under the bed, but also like fucking just like other gods and other like things sent from other worlds and shit, and also just like kills people that fucking like torture kids and shit. But it's all dark and gritty and done in black and white style.
Huh.
And it's all like, this would be really interesting to see as a TV show, because they could almost do it like a Sin City style.
Would you want
TV show.
would you want him to do it in black and white?
I think it'd pay off, because I mean,
Would you want to do color like Sin City or just black and white plain?
You'd probably, there is some parts where it interjects red black scheme instead of white black,
Okay.
but it's not.
Just full on Nazi flag.
Well, not Nazi flag, but it's like if it has, like in his head, he's talking to the god of death or whatever, and the god of death is like this decayed vulture in a business suit
Yeah.
or whatever, and that place is like it changes out white for a different color, like blue or yellow or red instead of white. Like I think you could do that to like frame his different personalities and shit. So maybe like just a dual, color format TV show.
Do you have a casting suggestion?
Not particularly.
Okay.
Because there's both characters, like it's both a white male in like his 30s or 40s, like darker brown hair, but it's not like a standout feature that like defines him or like makes him or anything. There's no. So I mean, I think you could almost get anybody to do it. I mean, you probably can get an unknown guy cheaper to make the production a little bit cheaper. I mean, you don't need Henry Cavill to play The Witcher. Not that I'm really interested to see how that turns out.
I am interested in seeing that.
But at the same time,
Because I like as soon as you see him, it seems like it seems like a production still from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But it's the fucking Witcher. And I was like, did Netflix just make Game of Thrones?
Hired the same company. Hey,
As long as they can hire the same writers, that's fine.
Yeah.
but no, I mean, you could do Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Ghost Rider done competently, because the Nicolas Cage movies, while there might have been an effort, and it was great to see an effort, did not fulfill that character at all.
No.
I mean, you could almost do a Supernatural type show with a Ghost Rider, because it's just him going around battling ghosts and demons and the devil. So why the fuck not? Just do an episode by episode arc where he just travels around as the Ghost Rider, going to different towns battling evil. I mean, shit, it worked for Supernatural for fucking 14 years, so I can't see why it wouldn't work for Ghost Rider for like 5.
Have they finished that last season, or is it not even out yet?
I think they're in the process of
Okay.
getting it aired all the way.
I haven't seen like the past 4 seasons of Supernatural.
Oh, I'm starting to rewatch it now. It doesn't really hold up that well in the early seasons so far, but
I think there's some writing stuff that doesn't work in the first seasons, but I think like the production is probably the best in the first 2 seasons, at least the look of it.
yeah,
Because it has that kind of that bleach Bifrost look,
yeah.
which they lose at like the 4th or 5th season for some reason. It's like, why doesn't this look as good anymore? It's like, oh, they probably
change production company.
yeah. It's like, fuck that, that's too expensive.
But I mean,
And there's
Yeah.
that one. There's that. I think it's like season 6 or something where the Eric Kripke, the head producer, he leaves, and that
Okay.
season's awful. And then there's a couple seasons in between where like Crowley comes in and he's like part of the group. And that's where it starts to become interesting again. And then he becomes a bad guy again because he's a fucking devil.
yeah, that's the only reason I stopped watching that show, because I got tired of the revolving door that was the plot, where it was like he goes to hell now and he comes back, and oh, he comes to hell, he comes back. Oh, he's possessed.
Those first 4 seasons, they're pretty good.
No, they are.
I
It's
keep
just-
suggesting it to Nathan, and I don't think I. Well, also there's a thing with those. You kind of have to get them on DVD because they lost like basically almost all the rights.
Digital rights.
Yeah, so like all the because it uses like AC/DC, all that like 70s rock is like in like the first 3 seasons, and then it's all gone by like after that.
Oh,
Okay.
I guess I didn't really notice that because I'm still on the first 3 or whatever on Netflix right now. So, but no, it'd be.
But usually there's a. I think they get to always use "Carry On, Wayward Son" because in the last episode they'll do like a previously on Supernatural to catch you up, and it
Yeah.
always plays "Carry On, Wayward Son" as they do a clip show for what happened in the entire season.
Yeah, that is one we talked about, but yeah, there's virtually no way to see it unless I'm going to buy the DVDs.
Well, I think it's streaming everywhere, but it just kind of loses a bit of something that you don't get that 70s rock, which is not necessarily pivotal but important.
Yeah.
I think your library will probably have it. I remember when I sold those DVDs, like they practically had the same value as when I bought them because of that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I can't figure out about Marvel is why they're making Morbius a fucking movie.
Who's Morbius?
Living Vampire.
Oh,
Jared Leto's playing him,
okay.
and it's
Are they like? Is it in production or is it just
it's
pre-production?
in production right now,
Huh?
and it's kind of like it's something I've
Who does he interact? Is he a good guy or is this like a bad guy
He's-
Marvel movie?
good guy.
Huh? Yeah, I don't know anything about that character, so.
Yeah, I mean, look it up. I don't know why they're making it.
Because I'd almost like I was thinking they're like it'd be interesting if they're making like a bad guy Marvel movie in the Marvel universe. That'd be interesting. But if this is just like a
I think
weird,
I think
if he's
probably
just gonna be a Doctor Strange but without magic.
No. It's just gonna. I think it's more like he wants to be good, and he is most of the time, but sometimes he's not. I mean, I don't really know a lot about the character. I own a couple comics from when there was an earlier Comic-Con at Nubo, because one issue had Captain America in it, and Captain America was a vampire in a coffin on the cover. It was like $5. I'm like, where the fuck else are you gonna get a picture of Captain America as a vampire in a coffin? And then the other one was, I think, the first introduction of like Blade, because Blade gets introduced in Morbius, I think, in the comics in the 70s.
Okay.
So
I thought he got like introduced in like a weird Spider-Man comic, but I can't.
it might have been that. No, because Morbius is a Spider-Man villain.
Oh, it is okay.
Slash like hero thing. So I mean,
Okay.
it might be connecting with
You know,
that.
maybe we might have to watch the Spider-Man movie, and this will make more sense. Because
Well,
I know in the trailers that Mysterio is a good guy.
Yeah.
Quotes.
Yeah.
And we
which
all
is
know he's a
never
bad guy.
fucking is. Well, unless they're gonna do the Skrull thing from Captain Marvel and change up his arc or whatever, then yeah, I don't. But at the same time, I mean, I just saw an advertisement today on fucking YouTube when we were watching something about like, go see Spider-Man Far From Home. It has the best end-credit sequence of a Marvel movie ever, and that was the advertisement. And I was like,
go watch all this dumb shit and get right to the good stuff.
Just give us your money, asshole.
And it's like, is that why I'm gonna go see a 2-hour plus movie for the fucking a minute in credit sequence that I can't see until
Wait
it comes
to
out
see it on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. Somebody will either spoil it for me on Reddit, it'll be on YouTube, or I just have to wait 2 months and buy it on DVD. It's not really, or rent it or whatever. It's not exactly what I would call a must see for that reason. I mean, maybe if it was like, 15 years ago where you had to wait like almost a year for a movie to come out on fucking DVD or VHS or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that would at least been something. Still feel bad I never went to see Rocket Man in theaters, because I really wish I would have seen that movie, but I don't even think it's in theaters right now anymore. Anyway.
Which one?
Rocket Man?
Rocket Man.
Elton John.
Oh, right.
You know.
I was thinking of the fucking
The Rocketeer?
Rocketeer. That's right.
Supposedly they're trying to remake that again now. Well, it's Disney, so you can't blame them for throwing around money they don't have, or don't.
No, they have the money.
Not don't have, don't care about it. Yeah.
Speaking of things from an earlier age, tomorrow, me and my son are going to go see Fifi. Fifi, for those of you who don't know, is a B-29 Super Fortress. Just like not the same plane, of course, but just like the planes that dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And not only can you go see this plane, but this is a flying plane. And if I had $1,500, they would fly me around in the area or the nose of the plane, because you know that one's the one that looks like a TIE fighter, like the front of it's all glass.
Yeah.
It was the first pressurized bomber we made too.
Huh.
So that was innovative at the time it came out. But so yeah, we're gonna go see all the World War II planes tomorrow. These are all the actual flying ones, because they made thousands of these during the war, and then you read about them, and there's like, this is one of 2 operating ones left. It's like, you'd think there'd be hundreds of these things laying around, but then you read to what it costs to restore them. Like $3 to $5 million to get them flight worthy again, and every 10 years you gotta have that fundraiser. I don't even know where they find the parts, but
Gotta make them.
yeah. Well, yeah, they make them, and it's funny to see because they have the in cockpit. The one where they flew over New York City in that was amazing, because they're just showing you the 2 pilots, and then the bomber sits in the front, and that there was some guy paying to do that, and that looked amazing because you could see all of New York from this big old bomber. And but it's funny, those guys, they all have like iPad looking things mounted where the clusters used to be. It's all like GPS and touchscreen. They're still manually doing the stuff, but all the flight instruments and stuff, they're all digital, which I think is the standard, or I'm not sure, but I know.
So do they just fly all these planes in this airport and just park them in a row?
Yeah, you pay I think it's $10 a head, and you can go climb inside them and touch them, and because they're not static models that they're worried about decomposing. So you can go. I'm probably not going to get in them because I'm probably too big to fit in one of those. Because I know when they pressurize the section of the Super Fortress, like you had this huge bomb bay. Well, those are just between the back and the front. Those are tubes you crawl through, because they didn't want to try to pressurize the bomb bay, because it'd be a waste of time. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be making that sojourn in those little skinny. But I'm going to do a lot of exterior shots of. So I think there's going to be a Liberator there, which is what I'm building right now. So. But it's cool. It's like, yeah, come on, climb inside, look around.
They just have a collection of stuff from World War II to like present day, or
no? It's mostly this is the Texas, it's the Consolidated Texas Air Museum or whatever, because they have fighter planes, bombers, and they all fly. And Stacy was asking me, she was like, why does it cost so much to ride on one of those? I was like, yeah, those are like 4 supercharged radial 16-cylinder engines. You couldn't pour gas on the ground faster than they run through them. They don't really go that far. I don't know how long you get at them, but it's like, yeah, those are hideously expensive to maintain. Those were not designed with any kind of efficiency, or they were just like, get them together and go start bombing people. That's what those were. I mean, there's, what this plane I'm building, they built 20,000 of them or something crazy like that. It's like, and these are huge planes too. But yeah, so that should be fun. Grayson likes that kind of stuff. And Fifi will be flying tomorrow, but I don't have $1,500.
I mean, can you at least watch it take off? And
Oh, yeah.
Everybody turn around who hasn't paid.
It's all.
That's the honor system here.
I mean, those are mostly maintained by super rich people, and just the going out and flying them around and stuff. It's
Yeah,
like
you have models. They have the fucking actual thing.
actual thing.
You bitch about how much it cost for that sprue you had to get from Poland to complete your design. They're like, well, I had to manufacture a whole new engine for about $2 million last year. Oh, okay.
What was it to recore the engines? Let me look at it. I was right here. It was $3.5 million 8 years ago to completely rebuild the engines on that. And that's like, you know, radial engines last forever, so that's just basically taking it apart, replacing the bearing journals and stuff.
You know, if it could get halfway decent gas mileage, or at least, you know, we could bomb a target in range for the government, maybe we can get the government to pay for its maintenance for the year or something like that.
National Guard Air Unit.
Well, these things, not only do they have giant engines on them, but they also have giant superchargers inside them. I think like 600-pound supercharger blasting air into this engine at how much boost is that? 7 atmospheres, something crazy like that. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if like you went above, like you said, the New York City one would have been really cool one to be on because all the lights and everything else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like just be up in the air and like, now I finally know what it's like to bomb New York City. It's not really inane and stupid at the same time.
Fail safe. My dream has come true.
I mean, they can't kick you out at that point. You paid $1,500.
Bombs away, you liberals! Spool up these 50 caliber guns.
What do we got on here that'll make a dent in this city? Like anything?
Some of those had a quad 50. Those 4 50 caliber guns. That'd do a lot of damage.
I'd burn through ammunition like a motherfucker too.
Yeah, these things
Got
had...
shoot down German aircraft.
No, I know. But it's just something where it's like just imagining 4 fucking 50 cals firing rapid fire at the same time.
Well, you're in a little bubble.
Yeah.
That's not loud at all.
Yeah, and the guns are you're racking them back here, like they're right next to your head, and so yeah, that's. Well, what did they have it at Knob Creek? They had an actual Sperry ball turret that had been restored with the twin 50s in it, and you could climb inside that thing. And it was kind of limited range. It didn't rotate all around, but you could fire those twin 50s off and you know, like aim it at, because it actually moved and everything, and you could aim it at the targets. And it was like, yeah, that just looked cacophonously loud, you know, be inside that thing.
Well, because I thought the highest casualty rates from any flight mission was always the turret gunners.
Yeah, I mean they were bad. I mean, the thing is, it was an electro hydraulic system, so it was a combination of servo motors and hydraulic pressure. And the Germans were very good at quickly figuring out what the range limits of those guns were, and what areas they covered and what areas they didn't. And they would fly in the zones where they weren't and just hammer them with rounds, and they knew that would hit their hydraulics and stuff. And then the guy's trapped in there. And on some of those planes, the ball turret had to be brought up hydraulically, so because if the plane landed, it just crushed the guy in it. And yeah, sometimes they were just stuck down there. It's like, well, we got to land the plane, Bob. It's been nice knowing you.
Well, because I know a lot of times too they talk about obviously it wasn't heated or anything. The planes in general, so it'd be really cold and lose pressure and shit. So you might freeze to death up there too.
Oh yeah, there were all kinds of problems. Those planes were wildly dangerous. It was just a giant platform to drop bombs and shoot guns out of. It wasn't the best way to do things, but we didn't really have missiles that were capable of long-range guidance back then. So that's what they did.
Yeah.
And they were really slow by today's standards. It's crazy though when they get them flying around here, because you can actually imagine what it would be like to be in Germany and just hear this bah, and it's coming in from the distance. Like they're not actually dropping bombs on you, but yeah, that'd scare the shit out of you because you can hear it for miles. Especially when you get 5 or 6 of them in a formation, even all different kinds of planes. It's just that droning sound is, and then yeah, so that's they're weird. It's an 80-year-old aircraft flying around.
And just quick update on F1 season.
Okay.
There's a good race.
All right.
The Mercedes finally didn't win.
Who won?
Max Verstappen. Red Bull.
Red Bull. Okay. People still drinking that shit, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Enough for them to dump hundreds of millions of dollars into a racing team.
Yeah, I got some money sitting around.
And they also own the racing track that they ran on. It's called it used to be called it wasn't the Nürburgring, it was like the Osterring or something like that because it's in Austria.
Yeah.
And so now it's called the Red Bull Ring. But yeah, the Mercedes had a lot of heating problems for some reason because I guess it was 40 degrees there, which that's Celsius, so I guess it's 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh, fun.
And so yeah, the Mercedes had a bunch of heating problems, so they couldn't really stay at the front of the race. Max Verstappen, he fucked it. He was like he qualified in second place, and he fucked up the start of the race, and he like went all the way to 8th place, and then followed all the way up until the last 2 laps. Kind of knocked the front guy off the road and took first place, and they decided that was good racing, and so he won. And that was the first win this year that wasn't a Mercedes.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's Max Verstappen has been really impressive this year because being how dominant Mercedes and Ferrari are, and he's always up there, and his teammates always in the back. Like his teammates always in like 5th to 9th place, and he's always like 3rd to 5th place.
Oh, okay.
And it's also impressive because they got the Honda engine, which has been laughable for like the past 6 years or whatever. And I think this is the first race a Honda engine has won in 27 years.
Wow, really? I'm looking at the race footage right now.
So yeah, I think we have like 12 or 13 more races to go. I don't think it's either we're at the halfway point or...
Well, here, Colin, it says Red Bull made a $10.3 million profit from F1 in 2018.
Okay.
But still finished in the red.
Oh yeah. Nobody spends money on a F1 team to make money. They're just weird vanity projects.
Well, no, because as soon as you said, that Nathan was talking about people still drink that shit or whatever, like it reminded me of a story. Monster is pretty much like the best performing company, actually, in the United States for profit margin.
Probably. It's owned by Coke, right?
Yeah, it's owned by Coke. But basically, like, I just looked up their, gross revenue and shit. Like, they made almost $1 billion in profit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people aren't drinking pop as much as they used to, but they're really fucking diving into energy drinks.
No, I know, because everybody's like, oh, I'm fucking tired, and I got 2 jobs to go to. So
I used to not drink energy drinks, and now every day after work, I drink an energy drink. I don't know if it helps or not, but now it's just something I do. It makes my nose run, and then I'm like, all right, it's working.
You just drink a lot of coffee now.
Yeah, it doesn't. Coffee just doesn't really do it for me. Like I do cold brew coffee, which is a higher caffeine content.
yeah.
Right.
I think I'm just like really susceptible to like whatever that fucking false caffeine is. What do they call it?
Taurine, and there's a bunch of shit.
No, what's like the name? It's like not false caffeine, but it's like something like that's what they call it. Or, fuck, I can't remember what it's called. They have another name for it. It's like
Pseudoephedra?
yes, well, yeah, pseudo caffeine. I think that something like that. That probably works too. Some good old trucker speed.
Yep.
Some good old LA turnarounds.
All right. Well, I think I'm done for this week. What about you guys?
Yeah. We'll end here.
All right. This week for the American Greed Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew?
Goodbye, America.